Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
Philadelphia fans, we're cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one, and we will be heard. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
What's up, everybody? Welcome on in. Happy Friday Eve, Thursday.
What the heck?
AKA. Hi. What's the matter, Gunner?
I feel like I'm watching the opening segment of what was that show? Night Gallery Theater with Rob. Good evening. I'm your host, Rob Ellis.
Yeah. So, hi, that's Barrett. That's Derek. I'm Rob. Hope you guys are doing well out there. So at 11:58 and like 35 seconds, I lost power right before we were about to go on the air, which is great. That's very convenient. It's perfect. So it's all good. But we'll muddle through. As soon as I get back up and running, I'll have a better setup than I have right now.
Rob, don't take this personal, man, but with all the issues that you've had in your neighborhood and your home,
yep,
it's kind of like a poltergeist neighborhood, man.
Yeah, it is.
Now I expect to see headstones start popping up out of the ground and stuff, man.
It's Halloween, man.
What is going on in your area, man?
It might be time to move. You know,
I was going to say, I told you should come on down to Delaware. We just get old country folk down here.
Whoa. So
what?
He can go down there, but I can't.
Trying to move my phone.
No, you can move to North Delaware.
There you go.
Don't come south. Move to North Delaware.
We'll both be your neighbors, man.
Now, see, you just messed it up. You can come across the state line, but don't come 20 miles south. So
go about as far as like Wilmington, and then done. We're done.
Yeah, Wilmington. Yeah. See that Wilmington area? You got some great area. You got Hockessin, you have Centerville, you have Greenville. Beautiful areas. Just don't come down here where the good old country folk live. I'm just telling you.
Oh, come on, man.
What?
You guys, I've worked with you guys now going on 7 years, and I thought we had a very productive relationship thus far.
We do. I love you guys from afar.
Yes.
See what I got to deal with.
It's not easy, man. It's not easy. Boy, man, what a great time to be a sports fan. Honest to God, man. There is so much going on right now. It's fun. It is fun. We are very lucky to be doing what we're doing, man. That's for sure. But busy show today. How about this? So at 1:00, we have Jerry Dulock from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. We're going to go behind enemy lines like we'd like to do. 1:30, we'll be joined by Barrett's former teammate. We're going to get all the dirt, by the way, on Barrett.
Oh, man.
Yes, we are.
Man.
We're supposed to be talking about the Steelers.
We'll get to the Steelers.
We'll get to the Steelers later.
We'll get to that. That's the back burner stuff. We got to get a real insight on you, man.
Me and Charlie go back to Detroit. We played 2 years in Detroit together.
Oh my goodness.
Oh wow. So you've been with him with two organizations.
Yeah. Me and Chuck are way back. That's my boy.
So we'll talk to him at 1:30. I'm working on it. It looks pretty good. I usually don't say it unless it happens, but I think it's going to happen. We're just coordinating little minor details. Todd Callis, who is the play-by-play television voice for the Houston Astros for AT&T Sportsnet Southwest. He is also Harry Callis' son. He'll be joining us at 2:00 to talk about the Phillies and the Astros matchup. So we got a lot going on, man. This is exciting. It's a big show today, man, for sure. And we'll dive a lot in the Eagles. But let's start with the big news here, guys. Robert Quinn came down yesterday after we were off the air. It comes down. So the Eagles give up a fourth, which is going to be a late fourth. Let's face it. In 2023, the beauty of this is the Bears are paying $7.1 million this year. The Eagles are paying next to nothing for him to be here. He's got 2 years left on his deal, neither of which are guaranteed. So, this is one of those, it's probably a rental, but this is, for me, if I'm a player on that team, I want to know that my organization is going for it. This is a go for it kind of move to bring in Robert Quinn.
This is a Rams move. There's no question about it. This is
Absolutely.
a Rams move. Mm-hmm. Everything that they've done leading up to this has been a mirror image of what the Rams did a few years ago to win that Super Bowl. But the good thing about it is the Eagles have not had to give up significant draft capital the way the Rams did to get to where they got. The Eagles are still in prime position next year to keep building on this thing with quality talent. 2 first-round picks, 2nd round, and a 3rd-round pick to boot. And that 1st-round pick is the Saints, and it could be a top 5 pick as well. I mean, my goodness, Howie Roseman, last couple of years is living right. And as we continue this discussion about Robert Quinn, I had a chance to talk to a good friend of mine. He was one of my traveling photographers, Kevin Foy, who used to be.
I remember Kevin.
And he's a photographer for the Bears organization, has been for the last 15 years. And I talked to a couple of other people in that Bears organization. And, when we had our pre-production meeting, Barrett brought up an interesting point about the Robert Quinn acquisition. And I said, Barrett, I'm going to save it. I have a counterpoint because when I talk to a couple of Bears people, I'm thinking, interesting. Okay. So, as we continue, we'll go back and forth on this.
All right. So the interesting thing about him, he tends to be sort of an every other year guy. What I mean by that is he had 18.5 sacks last year. He's got 1 this year. And that's sort of been a pattern with him of late, at least. He joins a team that's already got 17 sacks, which is the 4th most in the NFL. They're behind the 49ers, Cowboys, and Bucks. But let's face it, we know they come in bunches. They've been kind of inconsistent. And getting a guy like this at 32 years old with, I think, a lot of tread left on the tire makes a big difference. So, Barrett, let's dig into this because his numbers may be a little bit misleading and deceiving here with the Bears this year, at least.
Well, you're looking at a guy that they didn't have anybody on their defensive line at this point that could really garner them sending protection that way. When you're a big-time player, they're going to allocate, resources to you. So I think, what was the stat that you gave me about how many times he's been double-teamed this year?
More than anybody in the NFL, he's been double, which speaks to the guys around him.
Exactly. So that means he didn't have anybody. He didn't have a yin to his yang. He didn't have a Batman to his Robin to have them go and focus on. When offensive coordinators go and make their game plan, what they do is double-team him, send protection his way, or even a back or a tight end his way to help the offensive tackle block him. So that's just a testament of how good he is. He only has 1 sack this year. So last year he had 18.5. So of course he's going to get that attention. What he'll get here when he walks in that locker room is instant credibility when he walks in the locker room, number one. So they're not going to worry about him coming in and is he going to be a part of this team? Is he going to mess up the cohesiveness? None of that. He's going to come right in because his resume states that he just had 18.5 sacks last year. So his resume already puts him front and center on him helping this team. But what he does now is, all right, who do you pick? Pick your poison offensive coordinator. Do you send protection to Hassan Reddick or do you send protection to Quinn? Okay, by the way, you got 2 horses actually 3 horses in the middle of that defense that can rush the passer in Hargrave and Cox. And then you put the big boy Davis in there. So how do you block these guys? You're talking about a defensive front now that you can send out. Just look at this. Imagine if they go NASCAR, real NASCAR front. NASCAR.
Tell people what that means. Yeah, Barrett.
NASCAR is when you put defensive ends in at the tackle positions. So it could be one tackle and 1 defensive end, or you can have both defensive ends. Imagine them going out with a NASCAR front now. When you really need to heat a quarterback up, you put Brandon Graham on one side, put Josh Sweat on the other side, and at the tackle position. Then on the outside, you got Hassan Reddick, and you have how did I just forget his name that fast? Quinn on the other side. That's 4 defensive end in there coming off the rock, making those guys making the offensive line move their feet, they won't be able to get a pass off. This is exactly what you want for various reasons, more so being the fact that they can now have more sack production. That's 2 double-digit sack guys on the same defensive line. When was the last time we ever had that?
No.
It's been
like,
what, 15 years?
It's been a long time. Who loses reps in this equation?
I think he gets Derek Barnett's lost reps.
Okay.
I mean, I think, they really don't use him. We already talked about these guys getting more reps than they really should. I mean, Hargraves and Fletcher Cox have been running 60% of the reps.
Right.
And then, on the other side, Hassan Reddick is probably running about 60% of the reps also.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of factors in where you put Hargrave, where you put Sweat, Brandon Graham, he probably figures in there, or even on Hassan Reddick's side where he's going against the right tackle. They'll fit him in somewhere because when you can play, they'll find a way. And that goes without saying. But just the multitude of fronts you can put up there now when you have a guy like Quinn. And what really, warms my heart that he was a former Dallas Cowboy. So there's going to be a uniqueness in the hatred that he's going to have for that team because they let him go. You know what I'm saying? That's already built in right now. He's going to hate them because they let him go.
Gunnar, you want to jump in on this?
First of all, Howie does it again at a bargain basement price, so kudos to Howie first and foremost. My biggest question is everything that Barrett just said, it gives you chills and it gets the hair on your neck standing at the prospects of what can be. But my biggest concern is the guy pulling the strings on the defense still. Okay. You brought this guy in. The fact that you have another edge rusher, you should bring the house. You should not be. You have players on the back end that go man for man across the board with their speed and their versatility. You have linebackers that can do a lot of versatile things. My concern, as I said before, was I wasn't big on just their 4-man rush getting to the quarterback, and maybe that's why they went out and got this guy. Number one. Number two, how is Gannon going to deploy all of this? I'm still not 100% guaranteed that Gannon will do the right things, because when you bring in a guy of this caliber based on his past resume, even though he's 32 now, that means you need to you got to take your foot off people's throats and let them do what they're capable of doing. I don't know if that's going to happen. It remains to be seen. And like I said, it may look great in a span of 4 days because they're playing Pittsburgh and Houston. But in the bigger scheme of things, what is this going to look like? And number three, when I talk to people, and I said, the first thing I said was, how does this guy go from 18.5 sacks to 1 sack? Number one, it was a direct correlation to a guy named Khalil Mack being on that other side who was generating all of the interest over there. But number two, there was concerns about how much he still has in the tank. Now, I know Barrett has said at one point that he wondered if Robert Quinn was just disinterested in Chicago.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So let me tell the people that. I just thought he was just being disinterested because he's on a team that weren't going anywhere. They didn't have any sense of direction as far as them being a playoff team. So he was just disinterested. And that's what I told Derek. And then you turn around and you were about to tell us something. You said, no, we'll wait for the show. So I want to hear what you were about to say.
Yeah, basically there was concern about how much he still has left in the tank, and you said, the Bears could be in a fire sale, but the Bears are starting to make an upward trend. So if you're starting to make an upward trend, it doesn't make sense for you to get rid of one of your veteran leaders. And as we saw, players stepped to the podium, Roquan Smith, and basically was bawling because he lost this guy. So what signal have you just sent the Bears? They're starting to play like a team. You send one of the premier leaders elsewhere. So basically, are you telling them that you're just playing for next year? That's a bad message to send.
You are, Derek. I mean, you are.
That's a bad message. But in the bigger, and I told you guys, I talked to my good friend Kevin Foy and said, if you ever want a heartwarming story, this Robert Quinn is an incredible story. And he sent me the video clip of an in-house story they did on Robert Quinn. Did you know when he was 17 years old, he had a brain tumor?
No, I didn't.
At the age of 17. And I watched the video clip, and he talked about how he would be driving and black out for a second, walking, pass out. And then all of a sudden he goes to a doctor and he's diagnosed. He's told, you have about a week to live.
What?
Can you imagine 17 years old? You're just barely starting your life and you're told that you might have just a week to live. So he said he was starting to say goodbyes to his mom and other people and family members and stuff. But lo and behold, he's still here today to tell his story. It's an incredible, inspirational story from where he was at 17 years old to where he is now. I think when you mentioned, Rob, about whose playing time is he going to cut into, I think here's a prime example that we're going to see reduced time. Brandon Graham and Hassan Reddick to keep these guys fresh.
Graham didn't practice yesterday, by the way.
Yeah, Brandon Graham, and if they move him around, he could cut into Hassan Reddick's time to keep, not because Hassan's not producing, but to keep him fresher. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
It's a great rotation to have to keep them fresher. And who knows? Maybe this environment, this change of environment, not just with the new team, but a team that's 6-0, the last undefeated team in the league, the favorite to get to the Super Bowl, will spark something in him. Hopefully it does. But because of that guy pulling the strings, as excited as I am to see him fit in this scheme, I still have my reservations about how he's going to be utilized.
I just love, but I will just real quick, just before we dig more into Quinn, I love that the front office goes for it. They are not sitting on their hands, even though they're undefeated.
No question.
And no matter how it works out, I give teams props who go for it hard, and that's what the Eagles do, man. So
Rob, I think this is in direct answer to what the Cowboys just did. Cowboys go out and get Jonathan Hankton to fill the gap, 340-pound D tackle. Oh yeah, well we're going to go out and get another edge rusher. It's like point counterpoint back and forth between these two.
Yeah, you're right.
Absolutely right.
Yeah. Just to pick up on the Quinn thing, he still has that tumor. They drained the fluid out of there, which allowed him to be, to recover. He gets checked. He gets check up, I think, twice a year.
Wow!
And thank God it hasn't grown or not.
Wow!
But it's still there. He has a dime-sized tumor in his brain. But anyway, Barry, I'm sorry.
You said that for 15 years, then.
Yes.
He's 32 now. 15 years.
He said he doesn't even give it a second thought anymore.
Look at God, man. Look at God, bro.
Yeah.
You think about, what we go through every day, the day-to-day process of just, living throughout the day and having that known entity inside you, man, that's crazy that he's able to go out there. So,
wow.
Like I said, I mean, every day is a gift, man. Every day is a gift. And this is a great opportunity for him. He didn't get a Super Bowl with the Rams. He missed it by 1 year.
Yep.
He goes up the next year, has Khalil Mack on one side. He's on the other side, gets 18.5 sacks. For nothing. Now he's playing with a team that they're basically having a fire sale. They've let their best receiver go. They give this young quarterback no weapons. They barely have an offensive line put together, and he gets a chance to go to a team that's 6-0. Imagine what he's thinking right now. I have an opportunity.
Yeah,
exactly. That's what I'm saying. I have another. This is a rebirth for him. I have an opportunity to help this team take it to the next level. Become a super, because when I saw that, I instantly thought this is a Super Bowl bound team with the addition of Quinn. Robert Quinn is that good of a player. Robert Quinn demands you account for where he is. So now you have two guys like that, Hassan Reddick and Quinn. You can run a multitude of fronts. He wants to run a multitude of fronts. Now they can run really a serious 50 front. 50 front meaning the hybrid outside linebacker type of guys on the outside that are, Quinn and Hassan Reddick. But then in the middle, you got Hargraves, you got Cox, and you got the big fella Davis right there in the middle, head up over the center. Now that the offensive line has to block man to man, one-on-one against all those guys, I put my money on the defensive line as opposed to the offensive line.
I just think about the talent on that side of the ball, guys. I mean, you just go, just that we listed everybody on up front, but then you got Kaiser White. You got TJ Edwards, who doesn't get enough love.
Exactly.
We could go on and on and on. And then you go to the back end with Bradbury and Slay and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. This defense, and Derek, I hear your concerns with Gannon, but if he can't get it done with this kind of talent, then you do need to change. Then the bandwagon is out of service permanently.
Let me ask both of you this, because I can see the excitement, I can hear the excitement in your voices, as is the case across the tri-state region with this acquisition. I'm going to ask you this, and I'm going to ask others this on different platforms. So with the way this team is structured right now, on both sides of the football, is anything short of this team getting to the Super Bowl a failed season?
Yes.
Yes.
I answered for you. I was going to answer before you even finished and said, this is definitely a Super Bowl caliber squad.
Yeah.
And people asked me last year, can Jalen Hurts be a Super Bowl quality quarterback? I think he's definitely answered the question. Can he get him there? I think he can get him there. I think that he's good enough in what he brings to the table that it's a lot harder for defenders to defense him than it is a lot of these other quarterbacks in the league right now.
Yeah.
The mere fact that, he does a lot of stuff well, you know what I'm saying? But he can hang his hat on being a versatile guy. But his ability now to throw the ball and check out of bad plays and put his team in better positions, he crossed the T's. And when he started checking out of plays and putting his team in better plays, he's now dotted the I's.
You notice I said get to the Super Bowl and not win it, because if things play out the way they are, either Buffalo or Kansas City getting to the Super Bowl to play the Eagles, that's going to be one heck of a Super Bowl.
Oh, yes, it's going to be fun. But Derek, the other thing you take into account when you say that is not only the Eagles' talent, but what we've seen transpire thus far around the NFC.
Absolutely.
We thought, how good did we think the Bucs were going to be? The Packers were going to be, the Rams, whatever. We could go on and on and on. And nobody has stepped up. Like one of those guys has answered the bell so far. And the Eagles have. The Eagles have been the lone consistent team week in and week out that they've played. Yeah, no matter who they're playing, right? We can sit here and debate about the schedule and all that. But we see it. We all watch out of town. We all watch the whole league. And teams, and I'll exclude Buffalo, for the most part, and Kansas City. But almost every team in the league, both conferences, just certain weeks don't show up. And
exactly,
that's the difference with them and this Eagles team.
There's no question about it. Howie right now, I don't know when or where he got the vision to do what he did. We all thought that this would be a better year based on them getting that playoff experience. Never did I think what we're looking at on paper now in terms of roster personnel would it be to this magnitude. But at some point, Howie identified, not just Howie, but the entire organization identified, okay, we're satisfied with where Jalen Hurts is. We can add a receiver. We can add this. We can add that. And we could take this thing to a whole nother level. And if we ever get Howie back on, I would love to ask him, at what point did you decide it was time to just go for it all this season instead of continuing the process of building this thing in the right direction? And people would have been satisfied with this team being a good team, getting into the playoffs to a second level, meaning the second round instead of the first round. And people would have been satisfied with that when you looked at the roster nucleus. But now that you've added some of the things you've added, like CJ, and now, Robert Quinn to go along with Bradbury and all these guys, there's a whole nother expectation for this team now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, we chronicled this. I think draft night, when he realized he could pull off the A.J. Brown thing, then everything else sped up. I think they were on a trajectory where they were, hey, let's get better. Let's try and win a playoff game. Let's see what happens. And then A.J. Brown started the snowball effect, and everything started picking up from there.
Right.
I truly believe that.
Right.
You talk about, once he made that move, first thing we said as critics and as as media, well, they're two players away from being a really, really good team. Two players being a corner and a safety. We didn't know we had in Harris. We didn't know how we were going to go out and get somebody opposite of Slay. But man, how did he finagle these guys out, these teams out of so many good players, man, and sign good players, young players at that. Quinn, he's older, but I'm talking about, look at the young guys, Kazir White.
Brown. They're young.
Brown. Look, these guys are young.
Gardner Johnson's
young,
not
talented.
Yeah.
So, the sky's the limit for this team, and you can't at this point say that, all right, they shouldn't be a Super Bowl team. They should be a Super Bowl team. I think everybody in the NFL are thinking they should be a Super Bowl team. Mm-hmm. We are now pushed into being a solid number one candidate right now as far as, going to the Super Bowl. Or, I mean, the thought of us running the table is not too far-fetched.
No.
I know,
No.
Come on. I know it's, that's almost crazy to even think, man. But look at the talent we have, man. I know any given Sunday is definitely a real thing, but it's also a real thing that the talent that this team has, and not just the talent, but how they go about their business. They go about their business and understand that they're always in a position where they found that they can do more. So they're going to practice to iron out that wrinkle that they had that they saw a flaw in the previous game. And they almost overcorrect on how they do it. All right, we mess up. We didn't tackle well. They go in the next game and they tackle everything, that's not just running around. They tackle on everything. They go back. All right, we didn't get the ball to A.J. Brown. Boom, we start just pumping it to him. We didn't get the ball to Devontae Smith. They get the ball to him. We didn't get the ball to, Dallas Goedert. They know how to fix the problems that are ailing them. So as long as they keep with the mindset that they've always got something to prove, they've always got something to fix, they've always left money on the table, this team could really, really be good, man.
Yeah, and they're never going to say this publicly, but their actions show where their bar is.
Right.
This is not get to the playoffs and lose to Tampa Bay and be happy that you improved from the previous season. This is now the expectations are very real, and they should be. Nobody should lower the bar. Like keep the bar where it's at. That's where this is right now.
And they got leadership that's going to do that. They have guys like Jalen Hurts is going to make sure that's going to happen. Old school type of thinking. Like, all right, we're going to work it. We're going to do it the hard way. We're going to work for it. So man, I can't wait. Can't wait.
Absolutely. All right. So Barrett, you gotta hop for a second.
Yeah, I'll be right back, fellas.
All right, Barrett's gonna hop off. Derek and I are gonna stay with you. So coming up, Derek, we mentioned a little bit earlier, Jerry Dulac's going to join us from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. He's covered the Steelers for a long time.
Right.
He's going to give us some real insight on what's going on with them and how this thing looks, how this matchup looks between the Eagles and the Steelers. The segment after that, we have Charlie Batch, Barrett's old buddy. So we will talk to Charlie. I'm curious to get Charlie's take on Jalen Hurts too, Derek. Guy kind of watching from afar.
Well, not only that, Charlie back in his day, he was that so-called hybrid quarterback. And when he was in Detroit. So if anybody should have a feel for what, you look at a lot of these quarterbacks now, they're considered hybrid quarterbacks nowadays. You look at the Daniel Jones, the Jalen Hurts, all these guys, Josh Allen is as prolific as Josh Allen is as a quarterback for Buffalo. There's all these quarterbacks now have design plays called for them to run the ball now. So I'm curious to see what he thinks about today's NFL quarterback and how the position has evolved since he played.
Absolutely. All right. So we'll do all of that. And then Phillies certainly coming up next. Game 1 tomorrow, Derek, can't come soon enough against the Astros. We will dig into that matchup and just kind of look at the Phillies have been real road warriors here. They've done very well on the road, especially striking first, Derek, in each and every one of their series thus far. So we'll get into that and some of the decisions that Rob Thompson has made in terms of who is going to pitch and who isn't and all that kind of stuff. So we'll do all of that when we get back. You don't want to go anywhere. Derek Gunn, Rob Ellis. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. All right, so let's talk about Jim Murray and Principal Financial Group, right? Because we all know that trying to figure out who the best person to put your hard-earned work in those hands, who the best person is, can be a challenge. That's for sure. Jim Murray is the right person, whether it's retirement planning, 401k review, insurance review. If you have a small business and you're looking for some help being able to set up your employee benefits, Jim can help you with that as well. I know I've entrusted my IRA, my 401k rollovers with Jim, and I couldn't be any happier. You will be too. Give him a call, 610-996-4751, 610-996-4751. You could email him as well, Murray, MURRAY .Jim@principal.com. That's Murray.Jim@principal.com.
Welcome to Pond Lehocky, the largest workers' compensation law firm in Pennsylvania. With over 250 years of combined courtroom experience, we've helped over 100,000 injured and disabled workers obtain benefits, as well as some of the biggest settlements in the state. Even better, Pond Lehocky doesn't charge a dime until you win. If you've been injured at work, give Pond Lehocky a call.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
It's a fall car fest, and Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown, says, yes, you can. Jeff says, yes, you can choose from over 1,000 vehicles in stock with no wait. Yes, you can still get low prices, leases, and big discounts. Yes, you can still get low interest financing. And Jeff always says, yes, you can have a real deal buying experience without the hassle. When the other dealers say, no, you can't, Jeff says, yes, you can. Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown. Nobody treats you better. Jeep Adventure Days.
Philadelphia fans were cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one and we will be heard. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back in. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Derek Gunn, along with Rob Ellis Barrett, will be back right around 1:30. Still no power in the Ellis compound. So this wasn't just internet, Derek. This was full-blown power. So I don't know what is happening.
Is it the whole neighborhood or what?
I don't know. I don't have enough time to run outside and check what's going on. But I'm trying to book guests during the break and move things, and it's good times. Anyway, Todd Callis locked in. He'll be joining us at 2:00. So we'll talk to Todd about the Astros. We'll get his, kind of really go behind enemy lines there with him. With that, this is a good enemy lines day for us. We got two Steeler guests and an Astro guest and all that good stuff, for sure. And a little later we'll do some NFL. I think this is gonna be cool. We are gonna do our NFC power rankings. Okay, but in addition, we're gonna do our bottom feeder power rankings. Our bottom five, man. This was easy, right? That usually when we're trying to fill out 5. It's like you drop off after 3. This was like I could do about 12 of these.
It was tough. The top 3 were easy. When he got to 4 and 5, you'll be surprised at who my number 5 is, and I'll tell you why. And I think you'll be like initially like, wow, you put them in number 5 as one of the worst, and I'll say yes, and then I'll tell you why, and you'll say, yeah, you're probably right. So
all right, we will do. And I have. Let me put it to you this way: I have 3 teams in my 5 that I never thought I'd be saying this right now on October 27th. 3 of them.
Let me see if I agree with you. How many do I have in my 5? There's only one in my 5 that I'm surprised I put in there. No, really? I'll say 2. Okay. There's 2 in my 5 I never thought I'd put in there. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So. We'll dig into that in a little bit. So Phillies Astros tomorrow night, Derek, 8:03 game 1. We know it's going to be Aaron Nola. And we know one of the big reasons. And look, as much as people can't stand analytics and trends and all that, I think Rob Thompson does a nice job of gut, but also following some of these trends and some of these analytics. Like, for example, Aaron Nola will go tomorrow but I think the big part of the reasoning is they want Zach Wheeler with a little bit of extra rest. And we talked about this on the show yesterday. So during the season, 10 starts on regular rest. He has a 3.66 ERA. Okay. That's Wheeler.
Yep.
When he has an extra day, which he will on Saturday, right? Saturday's game.
Yep.
So yeah, Saturday. This is 11 game sampling. He has a 2.57. So his ERA is more than a run less when he has an extra day rest. So I think that's really what the thought process is.
And that's huge. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. That's huge because when you look at how Houston got to where they are, it's not like they were blowing the Yankees off the face of the diamond. They weren't producing a lot of runs. They were getting just enough runs, enough timely hits, and of course their pitching staff is stellar to get the job done. So I think that's huge. I think if you throw in the analytics, I think Rob Thompson not only looked at what happens with Wheeler when he gets that extra day of rest, but also, hey, look at how the Astros got here. They were winning games 4-3, 4-2. The only blowout game was a game they won 5-0. But for the most part, they were close games. And you look at the way they got past the previous series. It was the same way. Not the series before the Yankees. It was basically the same way. It's timely hitting how they got to where they are right now. So that comes into play. I think when you go back to that clinching game against San Diego, that was more feel in terms of how he sent his pitchers to the mound. I never thought Eflin would come in the game that early. I never thought he would consider using Suarez as his closer. When you consider he has Alvarado, Anthony, Robertson that he could call up, and even Eflin to call up to close out a game, but the way he orchestrated that had to be more of a feel because the analytics there wouldn't have made sense in terms of how he used them compared to how we watched them use his pitchers prior to that. Yeah.
I'll tell you the other thing I liked, Eric. He doesn't wait until it's total disaster. What I mean by that is go back to game 4, when that Saturday night game where the Padres jump all over Falter.
I think Mr. Ellis is froze out for just a moment. As Rob has told you earlier in the show, that his area is experiencing some power difficulties, and hopefully we get Rob back in just a few moments. But speaking of which, there he is.
So my point was, Derek, sorry, I'm rolling with the punches here. I'm doing the best I can. But so, I love that he pulled Falter in the first inning, didn't let that get worse. Right. Then on the clincher, I'm not going to die with David Robertson. I'm going to throw a gamble in here and throw Suarez, and let's see how he reacts to it. That to me is the gut part where, Thompson is just, I see what's going on. I don't care what the book says or whatever. I'm making a move right now. I love that about him.
I couldn't agree more, Rob. And let's go back to when he assumed this role, when he was given the reins to this team, when they were down in the dumps, basically. I think the moves that he's made throughout the playoffs have been consistent with moves he's made all season long. Usually when you're an interim, you might be a little bit afraid to put too much of your own personality on this thing because you don't want this just to be a quick fix. You don't want to be just a quick stopgap. Hopefully they look at you and say, hey, you know what? He might be the right guy for the long term. I think he put his signature on this from day one in terms of how he wanted to run a baseball team. And lo and behold, there were so many landmines and stumbling blocks along the way with the injuries piling up. He never strayed away from who he is.
Right.
And it carried over, and it's more magnified in the playoffs because every game is do or die. And in the scenarios, especially when it's back and forth, lead, give up the lead, give up the lead. He never wavered from who he is, Rob. And that's why I don't know if it was by accident. I don't know how thoroughly the Phillies diagnosed this to look at this, but he was the right man for the job all along. And, luckily the Phillies did the right thing before the season was over and extended him a couple of years. It's obvious these guys love playing for him. They're a loose bunch, and when you're the constant underdogs, and I equate this to the 2017 Eagles, when you're the consummate underdog every time you step on the field for the next game or next opponent, next series, you play looser because you're playing with house money. Nobody expects you to be there. Well, you know what? Let's go out and shock the world.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I do think if you just look at it from this standpoint, nobody, as you said, nobody expected the Phillies to be here. Right. Number one. Number two, This is an Astro team that, yeah, they did win it in 17, Derek, but
Right.
that one, there is an asterisk with it with some of the cheating allegations, right? On top of that, they've been here a bunch of times. Like, it almost feels like sort of the Eagles under Andy Reid when they were in that run,
Right.
and they couldn't quite get over the hump. And that starts to manifest itself in your head, too, where you got a lot of that team's got a lot of pressure on itself.
No question. No question. I guarantee you. You see, it's not just the Houston media who's talking to the players now. Now you have the national media converging down there. They're all looking for that definitive quote, that definitive story. And I guarantee you, one of the angles on that team is you can get there, but you can't win the big one. Why? And the one you won is tainted by cheating allegations. So all of that's swirling through their minds right now. When you look at their roster, that roster up and down is one of the best rosters in all of baseball, if not the best roster in all of baseball. But you don't play the game on paper. You got to play. And the fact that you haven't done it since 2017, when you've had more than enough opportunities to get it done, can you imagine what they must be thinking now?
Well, the other part is, Derek, you steamrolled everybody. You haven't lost the game. So you come in not only as favorites, as prohibitive favorites here to beat this Phillies team that everybody looks at and says, oh, 6th seed, they wouldn't even have been in if they not expanded the playoffs, et cetera, et cetera. So from that standpoint, you're right. The Phillies, I also just think by nature, they're a pretty loose group. We've seen the way they have fun afterwards, and, Schwarber's on the mechanical bull at Xfinity Live, whatever. Like this group is not like, oh my God, who's next? We just won. No, they enjoy the moment. And I think they're going to suck it all up and soak it all in.
And when you look at this lineup, Rob, they can put runs and bunches on the board in a hurry.
Yeah.
Can Houston play catch-up baseball in that regard? If they get down 4 or 5 runs, as good as their pitching staff is, that remains to be seen. I think the Phillies have a decisive power advantage when it comes to Houston. Houston's a good contact team. They spray the ball everywhere. But in terms of getting a couple of men on base and hitting that one shot, they can put a 2 or 3 run difference between you. I think the Phillies have the edge there. That's going to be huge to see. In terms of, can Houston's pitching staff keep the Phillies' power offense in the yard, especially the way Bryce Harper's hitting the ball now? Can you keep Bryce Harper in the yard? Both of these ballparks are hitter-friendly parks, okay?
Yeah.
So you're really going to have to be fine-tuned pitching, going corner to corner on the plate, and hopefully, the thing I don't want to decide this game is the umpires. And as we've watched playoff baseball across the board this fall, the calls behind the plate have been so inconsistent. And you see batters standing at the plate. Wait, you just called it a ball a few minutes ago. Now it's a strike. What the heck are you doing here? So hopefully this series is not decided in the hands of the umpire.
I'm with you. But I want to go back to your last point. It is a very hitter-friendly ballpark, that's for sure. And the beauty for the Phillies is, they're guys that you really are counting on. They're big money guys. They have been unbelievable. Harper's been unbelievable. Schwarber has really come on. Hoskins is hot. All these guys. Segura, Real with clutch hits. Real Muto with the hit that started everything in that 8th inning. I mean, all of those guys who are your main cogs, let's face it, are coming in feeling real good about themselves in this series. I mean, Harper's locked in like we've maybe never seen in a postseason. But Hoskins hit 3 home runs in his last 2 games. Yeah. So he's feeling good. Real Muto's feeling good. Is Segura I don't know about you, but other than Harper in a clutch situation, I want Segura at the plate, man.
No question. And the thing about Segura is, Rob, when you look at a lot of his clutch hits, they've been pitches that are low and away.
Yeah.
And it's not like he's getting them right down the middle. He's going after bad pitches and making necessary contact to deliver the goods. You know how difficult that is for a pitcher when a pitcher thinks I can get him fishing at an outside pitch. He's tattooing it to the opposite fields and being productive. So that's another element. My only concern with this Phillies team is their defense.
Yep.
The defense worries me just a little bit at certain positions.
It should.
When it comes to Hoskins and even Bohm, sometimes when he comes up throwing, and Houston is such a solid defensive team.
Just the way you put that, you're like, I'm with you.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like, I can't have a ball hopping over Hoskins' glove at a crucial point in the game. I can't have Bohm coming up throwing the ball out in the center field on a possible routine double play ball.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, I don't need Hoskins at first to be Keith Hernandez. I just need you to make the basic play. And same thing, like there was some weird stuff in that series too that they survived. Like, Segura is not going to miss a ball on a double play ball that's tossed almost perfectly to him by Stott. That was just fluky. But you're right. Like Hoskins has to clean it up. Across the board, they just need to be cleaner. You can't have the wild pitches. And I know the conditions were awful in that last game, but you have to tighten everything because let's face it, as much as they play teams that were quote unquote better than them, St. Louis, Atlanta, and San Diego, this team's another level from even those teams.
Yeah. There's no question about it. As I said, I'm so intrigued just to watch that first game. You got Nola against Verlander. We've discussed Verlander's inconsistency when it comes to postseason pitching. There's no question he's one of the better pitchers to ever pitch this game. But for whatever reason, his postseason numbers are a little different than what they are in the regular season. How will he hold up in the magnitude of this one? He gets the ball in his hands first. He gets to start it out. They haven't lost a playoff game. They have it at home. It's national TV. I know media people across the nation have asked him about his numbers postseason compared to the regular season. This is not just going into another game thinking about overcoming. This is every win counts towards what the ultimate goal has been. You are one of the last two teams standing. You probably will win the Cy Young Award for the American League this year. And everything is focused on what you do to keep this powerful Phillies lineup out of sync.
Yeah. And when you're him and you've had the kind of success that he's had in every realm other than the World Series, this is why I think this game one is so fascinating. You're at their place. If you can get on him early, not a lot. He gives a couple up early. Yeah. And you got a lead and the crowd's quiet. And then he starts thinking, here we go again. As great as he is, but that is in the back of his mind somewhere. In the recess of his mind is the World Series struggles. Then all of a sudden, and you're the Phillies, and you're saying to yourself, well, let's look at this from our perspective, okay? We're 3-0 in game one of the postseason, all on the road. We can do this. Like, we've been here, done that, and it's not like they faced chopped liver in terms of the pitching that they've taken on. They've done it against, like, Darvish types and really good pitchers. So they know that we got this, that we can do this, that we can be successful here if we get on him early. Mm-hmm. Nola's kind of a fascinating case because the last time he pitched in Houston, he was great. 6 2/3, no runs, 1 hit. We know that he was perfect going into the 7th inning. Yep. Granted, it was kind of a half an effort from the Astros, which I don't blame them. Okay. They had everything locked up, so they weren't exactly as locked in as you would be. Understandable. So, but I also think Nola can't care about that part. He just knows when I was here the last time, I was real good, man. So I think that part maybe comes into it a little bit. What worries you is his last outing against the Padres, 4 2/3, 6 runs, 2 home runs allowed. They had a 4-0 lead, and he gives it up and gave up 7 hits and all that. I think he'll be more of the mindset, I can't wait to flush that. Because if I go out here and deal in game one, who cares? We won that last series. What I did in that game doesn't mean anything.
I think one of the more intriguing storylines in this whole series will be when it comes to Rob Thompson and Dusty Baker, how much of a short leash are the pitchers on? Yeah. That's going to be huge in terms of not just starting pitching, but the entire staff. How much of a short leash are they on? If things are going mediocre to sour, will your front line, will you pull them after 3 innings, 2.5, 2 1/3 innings? Will you kind of let them work their way out of the situation as you've done in the regular season with some of your pitchers? How are you going to handle that? Because Houston's bullpen is much deeper than the Phillies. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's going to be interesting to see. And I don't go into this series second guessing anything Rob Thompson has done up to this point. Sure. But that chess match is going to be so intriguing because there's a lot of prominent names pitching that's in starting pitching for this series. We agree that the Phillies have 3 solid starters. Would they have to implement a 4th starter, and who would that 4th starter be? Yeah. Houston is 5 deep when it comes to starters. Their bottom 3 starters would start on most other teams in Major League Baseball. Mm-hmm. How do you adjust to that? And you look at Houston's bullpen rotation. My goodness. And they got one of the premier closers in the game in Presley. We have 3 potential closers. How is that all going to play into this thing, man? It's going to be great.
I think you bring up a great point, because here's the thing. I mean, let's be real. Beyond Sir Anthony and Alvarado, it's kind of scary, right? I mean, I don't know exactly what this looks like if your starters can't go deep. I would think you'll tap into Eflin pretty early because he can give you multiple innings. But yeah, there's not a high trust factor. So you need these guys to get you 6, 7. You don't want this to be a 4 or 5, especially because Derek, as you point out, I'm talking about when you get past the Nola Wheeler game. Suarez is probably not going to go super deep for you, so you're going to need the bullpen a little bit there. And then you get in that 4th game where it's just, flip a coin. I would guess he goes Syndergaard, just based off of the way Falter pitched.
I know, man.
And I don't think he trusts Gibson at all. So I think it's going to be Syndergaard, hopefully to give you 3. I think that's what he's hoping.
Ooh, man. Okay, then you're talking about, so we're talking about a collection of pitchers that make you hold your breath because you don't know what's going to happen. Syndergaard, Hand, Gibson.
Yep.
And there's one more that I'm thinking of here. Dang it, can't think of who it is right now.
Yeah.
But those are a collection of pitchers that make you hold your breath in a lot of ways, man. Falter. Yeah, Falter's the other one.
Yeah.
Would he shy away from them? But if you do, where do you go?
Yeah, you can't
Where
all
do
the
you go?
way shy. You can't. I think if he had his druthers, he wouldn't use Hand, but he might have to use Hand just because
You might
he's got
have
more
to.
experience, than the other guys. I think he's probably looking to avoid any more Falter and any Gibson. I think those are the 2 guys you can kind of lock in that he doesn't want to get near. Doesn't mean you might not be pressed into service with them, but I don't think he wants to use them.
Rob, I also have some concerns about Robertson.
Yeah, I do too. I don't trust him. Derek, he walks too many guys, man. There's too many walks. Yeah.
And that's what Houston feeds off of.
Yep.
That's their rallying point. We get men on base. Somebody's coming up that's going to hit in the clutch.
Yeah.
That worries me, man. He's a quality pitcher, but you don't know. You don't know what this dude, man. From game to game. He pitches lights out one game, and the next game is like, get him out of there. Get him out of there.
Yeah. I can't figure if he hit a wall or he's not healthy. I don't know what's going on. But I mean, that 9th inning, man, against the Padres, he should have been able to take care of his business, and you would have called Suarez in. And and thank your lucky stars that Grisham decides to bunt for some reason. I mean, like things, they were the sports gods were shining on you, man. That you were able to wiggle out of that mess. But a lot of it was self-inflicted wounds by Robertson. He walked 2 guys.
I know.
In that inning.
Oh my goodness, So, but then again, this is it. For as many mistakes as we think the Phillies might make, hey, Houston's not this unmistakable team. They make mistakes also.
Sure.
They're really good at overcoming their mistakes, and hopefully they make enough mistakes that the Phillies can capitalize on them, especially on the road.
Yeah.
If they can gain their series advantage and bring it back here, we know what the Phillies' record is at home.
Beat it. Yeah,
that's huge. That is huge.
5-0.
So,
yeah, I tell you the other thing that is really fascinating. It's the manager storylines. You have Thompson, who has taken over as an interim guy, who hasn't even coached managed an entire season on his own in the major leagues. And then you have Dusty, who's been around forever as a player and forever as a manager, and been real close a bunch of times. San Francisco days, et cetera. He's been close. Cubs. He's been there, right? So either way, it's like you're either going to have the guy who took over in midstream here in June, or the old veteran who wins it. I mean, it's a nice little chess match between those two, and everybody universally loves Dusty Baker.
And how much has Dusty been asked about that this week leading up to the series? Hey, you've been close a number of times, but no cigar. So from a managerial standpoint, making decisions, that's got to weigh in his mind as well.
Yep.
Because he's been close. And you're right. Everybody in baseball loves Dusty Baker, but Dusty Baker still has not grabbed that brass ring, and he's had opportunities to do it. How much is that weighing in the back of his mind in terms of strategizing of what he's going to do with not just pitching, but his lineup as well?
There's definitely more heat on Houston. There is no question about that. There's more heat on Houston. That's for sure. All right. So when we come back, Derek, I believe I have power back. So you may see the regular knock on something. So we'll see how that goes. But Jerry Dulloch's going to join us from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. We'll get a little bit more insight on the Steelers. Mention Charlie Batch after that, Todd Callis after that. we just keep it rolling, man. We'll dig into our NFL stuff as well, in and out of our NFL guests. Sixers lose again, which we'll touch on. They're a disaster. We'll talk about that as well. So you don't want to go anywhere. Barrett's going to be back with us at 1:30, by the way. He's Derek Gunn. I am Rob Ellis. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. All right, let's talk about our good friends at Pro Action Restoration. Pro Action Restoration, they are still down in Florida, by the way, aiding victims of Hurricane Ian. They're just doing yeoman's work down there, that's for sure. But if you have a home, you have a business, you have a property that's gone through the inconvenience of water, fire, smoke, or mold damage, you know how trying it can be, right? Well, I have the right people that you can call to help you out. It's Pro Action Restoration. They're on call 24 hours, 7 days a week to assist. I've gone through it on a personal level. I called them on a Saturday. They came over to my parents' house. They cleaned the place up. The crew was professional. The price was reasonable. It was, every box was checked, right? So also keep in mind, they are licensed, bonded, and fully insured. They've been serving the tri-state area for more than 2 decades. Pro Action will work in conjunction with your insurance company. So could be fire, could be smoke, could be mold damage, whatever the case may be, they can handle it. Give them a call, 610-623-3760, 610-623-3760, or online at proactionrestoration.com. That's proactionrestoration.com.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
Welcome to Pond Lehocky. We've helped over 100,000 injured and disabled workers obtain benefits, as well as some of the biggest settlements in the state. If you've been injured at work, give Pond Lehocky a call.
It's a fall car fest, and Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown, says yes, you can. Jeff says yes, you can choose from over 1,000 vehicles in stock with no wait. Yes, you can still get low prices, leases, and big discounts. Yes, you can still get low interest financing. And Jeff always says yes, you can have a real deal buying experience without the hassle. When the other dealers say no, you can't, Jeff says yes, you can. Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown. Nobody treats you better. Jeep Adventure Days.
Philadelphia fans were cut from a different cloth, born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one and we will be heard. Pond Lehocky, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yes. Welcome in, everybody.
Oh,
yes.
oh.
Yes. We are back.
Is the power back in the development?
For the time being, Derek. Who knows? Who knows
All
at
right.
this point? So a couple things. Well, Jerry Dulac in a little bit from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Another NFL trade, Gunner, that we were talking about the Eagles making the move for Robert Quinn.
Yeah.
The Kansas City Chiefs make a trade with the Giants to get Kadarius Toney. Look, no surprise there. This has been a marriage made in hell with those guys. You figure the Giants would be shipping him out eventually, and he got his wish. He got out of town.
You watched Toney go to Kansas City and shine in that offense.
Yes.
Just the way Schuster did, just the way Scanling did. You watch him; they're gonna find a niche for him, and he's gonna shine in that offense, man.
Would not surprise me one bit. All right, I think we have our next guest up and ready to rock and roll. That is Jerry Dulac. Jerry looks like he's at the practice facility right now, the bubble, if you will, like we call it here in Philadelphia. But Jerry from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Jerry, thanks for joining us, man. Is that where you're at?
Well, I am in the practice facility, and you are welcome. And of course, anytime I get to be on with the Gunner, I jump at the opportunity.
My man, good to see you.
My man
brother.
is right. Absolutely, always good to see you, my friend.
We go way back, man. We spent many years together.
Yes, that's exactly right. It's always good to see you. And
Likewise, my brother.
I hope I see you Sunday.
Yes, Jerry, give us your impressions of Gunner when you guys were.
Whoa, wait.
Yeah,
wait,
no.
wait.
We're gonna do it. We need a little insight. Jerry's gonna speak the truth here.
You know, stylish, smooth. A man of great presence, a lot like me.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
Gunner, I actually stole that line from Sam Nover. So he said that once years ago. So that's why I borrowed it from our old friend Sam Nover.
That's awesome. So, Jerry, I'm trying to figure out, we are so accustomed, from afar to an extent, even though we're in the same state, of seeing the Steelers just be good every year, very consistent every single year, and being a team that is always a threat every single year. Did we lose Jerry? Do we still have Jerry?
Uh-oh. Did he freeze?
We'll get Jerry back. Xander, we got him. He's back. He's back. I think he is back. Okay. So I was doing this big build up, Jerry, about the Steelers. No, we don't have him. All right, we'll try and get him straightened out. I'm back. Jerry's not. We don't know what's happening. I think Jerry is back. Okay, so Jerry's back.
Oh man.
All right, Jerry. I was doing this big build up about how consistent the Steelers are every year, and we're trying to figure out exactly what is happening now. So give it in a just a roundabout way. Why are they a 2-5 team, and how did they get here?
Well, as you guys know, Mike Tomlin's had 15 straight years of non-losing seasons, only coach to ever start his career doing that in NFL history, which is a very impressive streak. But right now, that's kind of been compromised. You're playing a rookie quarterback. You went to Kenny Pickett a lot sooner than you thought you were going to after 3.5 games. And they're gonna kind of live and die with this, some of the things that they know he can do. We've seen him do, but also a lot of his rookie mistakes. He's thrown 7 picks in 4 games. 2 of them cost him ball games at the end, and that's been part of the problem. But you know what? The struggles on offense go back to last year. Since the start of last year, 12 of 24 games, they haven't scored more than 17 points, and that's using 4 different quarterbacks. So it's not like it's just one guy. It happened with Ben Roethlisberger. Mason Rudolph played in that stretch, Mitch Trubisky, and now Kenny Pickett. And the only time this offense ever flourished was last year in the fourth quarter when Ben Roethlisberger, when they were trailing, said, you know what, the heck on this game plan. I'm doing what I know can work. I'm going no huddle, and that's when the offense scored points. Their fourth quarter offense was the highest scoring in the National Football League last year because of that. But other than that, this offense has just struggled since the start of last season.
Jerry, when you look at the collection of wide receivers they have with this particular group of Steelers, and even though they've had the revolving door quarterbacks between Trubisky and Pickett, why do you think they haven't been able to integrate the wide receivers more so in this offense? Yeah,
it's been kind of strange, Gunner, because, there's only the wide receivers only have 2 touchdown catches this year, and they each happened in the past 2 games. And so they haven't been able, for any number of reasons, to get the ball to him. Even Pat Freiermuth, their tight end, just only recently, he was hurt for a couple games, so he hasn't played. But, they haven't taken a lot of chances down the field, but they have recently. But for whatever reason, it's just, it's hard to pinpoint. It's hard to say, you can't use a protection as an excuse. Maybe the guys, is it route running? Are there bad throws, bad decisions, bad play calls? It's probably a number of things. But whatever the case, that's a fairly talented receiving group. And the fact that they haven't changed games with their plays has been a big problem.
So, Jared, would you say I know Mike Tomlin is obviously the boss, the CEO, but have the coordinators let them down? Like, is there enough talent there that they should be better? I mean, we see it from afar. We see Pickens and Claypool and Najee Harris. There's a lot of talent here, but how much of it is coaching or a bad offensive line? What would you say on offense?
Well, fellas, I strongly believe that of all professional sports leagues, the National Football League is a coach's league. And I say that because every team has talent. Back in the day when I traveled around the league to other teams, every locker room is filled with big, strong, fast guys who can run, can jump, and can throw. It's who puts them in the best positions to succeed. Now, I understand a few teams have a few more of those talented guys than others, but it's who puts them in the best positions. And of course, the big complaint around here is that, because of what I mentioned, 4 different quarterbacks and the same results offensively. And it goes back to the coordinator. Some players are disenchanted with the play calling. It happened last year. Some of the coaches have left because of that, offensive coaches. And so, we're going to see what continues. What happens is if this continues to happen offensively, will Mike Tomlin make some kind of change? Look, the Steelers historically, and Gunnar knows this, they're not in the business of firing coaches midseason. No. They just don't. So that's not going to happen for the people who kind of thinking that might happen, or for some people here in Pittsburgh, hope that will happen. But if it continues, they're going to have to do something for the second half of the year, because it's basically been the same old thing.
Hey, Jerry, because it's been so inconsistent there this season in particular, what has Mike Tomlin's body language been like when you guys talk to him on a weekly basis? Can you sense there's more anxiety, tension in his voice? How do you perceive it?
Gunnar, that's a good question, because after that Jets game, when he switched to Kenny Pickett at halftime, which I just can't believe that was in his plan, because it was a 10-6 game. Kenny Pickett had not been taking the reps that week. NFL coaches not throw rookie debut, no reps, unless there is an injury. Even at that game,
All right, Jared. So we're gonna, if you can hear us, we're gonna put you on pause for a second, and we'll try and get you straightened out a little bit. You kind of dipped out a little bit where, NFL coaches are not in love with throwing rookies out there. Is kind of where we were at. With Pickett. Derek, I think partly when you throw Pickett in there, you're sort of just saying, hey, look, we understand that this could be a journey here. It's not, the expectation may not be quite as high. I think we have Jerry back to expand on that. Jerry, you were kind of in mid sentence there with that.
Yeah, one thing about Mike Tomlin, and it's the reason why he's never had a losing season, is he stays very committed to the task, and he tries to figure out what is going wrong without making drastic changes. And I'm not saying he needs to make them now, but I think that's his strongest point. He gets the players to stay focused, never get too high when they win, never get too low when they lose. And that's his greatest quality. And you see that throughout, though, Gunnar. I don't think that ever changes. But I do notice, I have on 2 instances where his demeanor was just a little bit different. And I think it has to do with where this offense is.
Jerry, I look at the defense and this is an organization. I covered the team for 9+ seasons. This is an organization that always prided itself in having a rough physical defense. A defense that's always in the mix, and one of the top 15 defenses in the NFL. They have the personnel. You have Hayward there, you have Bush there, Witherspoon, Fitzpatrick. Why is this defense bottomed out the way it has? That's what shocks me the most about this Pittsburgh team.
Yeah, and I think it shocks a lot of the former players who pride themselves on the very thing that you just mentioned, Gunnar. I will say this, the last 2 games, they've taken steps in the right direction. Mike Tomlin said in the preseason that he expects this defense to be great and dominant. Well, I thought that was a bit of hyperbole because I don't see that through the team. But you have all pros at the 3 different levels in Cam Hayward, T.J. Watt, and Minkah Fitzpatrick, who is just an absolutely terror in that secondary. But their inability to stop the run has been a big problem since last year. They were last in the league, but the last 2 games, that's gotten better as well. What is surprising, Gunnar, about this defense is their lack of pressure. This is a team that set an NFL record 5 straight years leading the league in sacks. No team has ever done that. And here they have 3 sacks in the last 4 games and 7 quarterback hits in the last 3 games. They get 7 quarterback hits in a half sometimes in a game. And so that lack of pressure, TJ Watt, of course, has been out. That's a big reason. But that lack of pressure has kind of hurt them as well.
Wow. Jerry, let's pick up on Watt for a minute. And I know he won't play this week, but is there any kind of timetable, number one? And number two, respect how great, and he is, in my opinion, the biggest defensive force. Maybe he and Micah Parsons might be 1-2 in the league. You can't – I'm trying to figure out how you just fall off a cliff with him out the way that they do. I mean, there's just – you got to be able to have somebody pick it up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm with you there. To have that big a drop-off is kind of strange. Obviously, he makes a big difference. He is scheduled to return after the bye week. You know, they're off next week, and so November 13th – against New Orleans is when they are targeting and expecting him back. I don't think they thought it would be this drastic, but I really don't think TJ Watt's absence has a lot to do with the problems they were having in their run defense, because he was around last year when they were last in the league. I think their problems will go more to the interior of that defense. But again, they seem to have maybe plugged that problem here the last couple of weeks. But there's no pressure when he's.
Okay, we lost Jerry. Unfortunately, technology has not been our friend today, D-Gun.
Oh man,
that's all right. That's all right. Yeah, look, I think that the one other thing, if we do get Jerry back up, I do want to ask him. We talked about it. You know, the Steelers are a very, I mean this in a good way, deliberate and patient organization. They are not an organization that's looking to have turnover and run through guys, especially coaches. We all know 3 coaches since '69, right? And you know, you go Chuck Noll, you go Cowher, you go Tomlin. I think we do have Jerry. Well, third time will be the charm. I'm confident. We have Jerry up. There he is. There he was.
Maybe going.
Third time won't be the charm.
Going.
All right. Now he's back. Yes, we have.
What can I say, fellas? I keep going in and out, and I apologize, but I can't tell you why.
You're doing the best you can. I'll hit you with the question I had, Jerry. They are the Steelers. We all know 3 coaches since '69. They are not a team that's looking to just run guys out. And I think it's an admirable trait that I think they've had for a very long time. There is some new blood in there in the front office to an extent. Is Tomlin in any trouble, or did they just view this as
Andy Weidel, part of that new blood, whom you guys know from being with the Eagles, Mount Lebanon guy who actually started his career here in Pittsburgh. No, Mike Tomlin is not in trouble with this franchise, even though he's on a hot seat with the fans here in Pittsburgh. You know, they're disenchanted with the fact that his last 3 playoff appearances have been one and dones, early exits, 42, 45, and 48 points they've allowed in those 3 playoff games. And so it's been embarrassing exits as well. And so while they've done okay during the regular season, 3 of the past 4 years in the playoffs, you know, their failures in the postseason is what everybody here is starting to remember, and what has a lot of fans here in Pittsburgh upset about Mike Tomlin.
Hey, Jerry, you know, when I worked there in NBC, it always fascinated me as I got integrated with the Pittsburgh Steelers history. It always fascinated me how, whereas most teams have the quick trigger, they could have 3 different head coaches in a span of 6 years. As Rob just alluded to, they've only had 3 in Pittsburgh since 1969. And you know the history of this team in the city better than I do. Why do you think this team has been so adamant about staying the course, even through bad times, and not pulling a quick trigger? I mean, I got there at the tail end of Chuck Noll's reign. I was there for a small part of Bill Cowher, and I didn't get to cover Mike Tomlin, but Tomlin's been there now for 15 years. Why do you think that they're one of the few franchises that will stay the course come hell or high water?
Yeah, you know, Gunnar, it's just something I guess that Dan Rooney always believed in. He believes in consistency, and so he just I know he's always felt it's probably for the same reason he's always believed you don't fire a coach mid-season because it just creates too much turmoil. But, you know, there were instances where Bill Cowher, probably when they missed the playoffs 3 straight years, any other NFL owner would have probably let him go and made a change. But the Steelers just don't believe in that. They've never been that way. And I think the reason for their success year in and year out, let's face it, you go back to the merger in '70s, you can argue that they're the best and most consistently successful team in the NFL. And I think that's probably the biggest reason is the faith. They try to hire the right person who they believe will work for the long term. And let's face it, they've been pretty good, starting with Chuck Noll.
Yeah, they have.
Jerry, let me ask you about the AFC. Is this just strictly a 2-horse race? Is this the Bills and the Chiefs, and then everybody else is kind of playing for third, if you will? Or is there somebody else you think could emerge there and challenge either one of these two teams?
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think it's those two teams. Also, I think, we're seeing the Bengals last 2 weeks look like the Bengals of last year. Mm-hmm. But I don't think there's any question. I think Buffalo's the best team in the AFC, and Kansas City's right there, 1 and 1A. And I don't see the same. You don't have the same situation in the NFC right now. The Eagles are the best team, certainly record-wise, and that division is certainly the best in the NFL. Surprisingly, mm-hmm. Giants 6-1 and Dallas 5-2. But I think I see it basically as a 2-team race in the AFC, unless the Bengals can get on that run like they did last year.
Hey, Jerry, every team in the NFL, like the Steelers are going through right now, go through a quarterback change eventually. You guys were pampered by having Roethlisberger as long as you did, and now you have to make that transition. Do you think in some ways they may have miscalculated how they wanted to move forward, bringing in Trubisky as the quick stopgap and maybe pick
Gunnar, I think where the miscalculation.
Oh!
All right, we lost Jerry. Hey, listen, Jerry, we appreciate it, man. If you can hear us, we appreciate the time. The signal's just bad. Xander, if you just want to let him know, we do appreciate it. He was great. He was a gamer, man. He was trying to, do his job, be at the facility, and still talk to us. And obviously, the reception was not great. I was curious. I was going to get his opinion on what he thought about Jalen Hurts, what he thought about the Eagles. But hey, that's the way it goes. We appreciate him taking a couple minutes. A couple little odds and ends, Derek, around the league. And Charlie Batch is going to be joining us at 1:30. But you find this interesting. Jameis Winston's healthy enough to play, and the Saints are still going to go with Andy Dalton.
No. And I think Andy Dalton gives them the best chance to win. I had said before the season, when it came to the Saints, we all thought the Saints would be a playoff contender. And I said, if you had the Jameis Winston that was the equivalent of the Jameis Winston of last year, who shot out of the gate with 14 touchdown passes and 3 interceptions before he got hurt in week number 7, that they would have a chance to go deep into the playoffs. And unfortunately, when you look at the way Jameis played, he has more interceptions than he does touchdowns.
Yep.
Obviously, that organization has identified we have to do something that's a little bit different. And I'm not saying Andy Dalton is the guy who's going to turn the organization around, but I think Andy Dalton, with his ability to deliver the ball, his ability to not make as many mistakes as a Jameis Winston, even though this team is struggling right now, gives them a better opportunity. Andy Dalton has played 4 games. Jameis Winston has played 3 games. Their completion percentages are exactly the same, 63%. The little bit of a difference has been Andy Dalton has 7 touchdown passes, 4 interceptions. Jameis had 4 TDs, 5 interceptions. Jameis has been sacked 11 times. Dalton has only been sacked 4 times. When you look at those numbers and you stack those numbers up, it leads me to believe that they feel that Dalton runs that offense a little bit better. Now, granted, they've gone through games where they haven't had Michael Thompson. They haven't had Jarvis Landry. They haven't had their prime pass catchers. This is a team that's been nicked up, up to this point. So it hasn't been as fluid. They're not feeding Alvin Kamara the ball as much as we thought they would right now.
Yep.
So they've had a lot of problems down there. But when push comes to shove, and let's face it, you look at the record, they're still not out of that thing in the NFC South. They're still very much in there, considering.
That's the crazy thing.
And they're what, 2-5?
Well, Derek, they have the 4th worst record in the NFL, and they're far from out of it.
No question.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, you call it whatever you want, parity. I'll call it mediocrity and worse. But yeah, I mean, you look at it. Just go to get out of the East, which is the best division by far. Eagles undefeated, 6-1 Giants, and 5-2 Cowboys.
Yeah,
you jump out of that, the whole South, top 2 teams, 3-4, Bucs and Falcons. Then it's 2-5 and 2-5 with the Panthers and the Saints. Awful.
The
So,
bottom
yeah,
team, the
they're
bottom
right in
team is only one game out of first place.
Yeah,
I
they're
mean,
right
think
in
about that.
Yeah.
And they have the talent to get it right. They just have to get healthy. They need Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry to be on the field with Chris Olave. They need those two guys to make that offense flow.
And that's one of the things that Kamara said was, I got pretty accustomed to winning down here. And, and it's an adjustment for me, to try and, get up for these games, essentially, is what he's saying.
Well, when Taysom Hill is one of your leading scorers, with how they utilize him, I don't know if he's a quarterback, an H-back, a tight end. I don't know what the heck he is, but the bottom line, Taysom Hill has 5 touchdowns. Alvin Kamara has no rushing touchdowns. They have a total of 8 rushing touchdowns, which is unheard of for them. When it comes to receiving touchdowns, where's Taysom Hill? Taysom Hill does not have he has 1 receiving touchdowns. So he's accounted for 6 touchdowns. Now, if you're going to utilize them the way they have, that's fine. But you need those other 2 components on the field to make that thing even more unpredictable. Yeah. When that thing's running fluid, New Orleans has, again, one of the better creative offenses in the NFL. Mm-hmm. But they've been so handcuffed with injuries, being nicked up at key positions. And one of the best offensive liners, Anders Pete, has been out for a couple of games with injuries as well. Yep. That's really hurt their continuity on the offensive side of the football.
No question.
But even as bad as it's been, they have to keep saying to themselves, look, we're 3 games under sea level, but we're only 1 game out of first place.
Not dead, that's for sure.
And not dead for sure.
A couple odds and ends here. So Robert Quinn will wear number 98. 9-8 for the Eagles, and he will practice today, Derek. So I would expect if he practices today, he'll get at least some, even if it's a small package of plays, you would think, on Sunday against the Steelers. I think we'll see him in there.
Why wouldn't you? You're playing the Steelers and Houston, 2 offenses that have problems. Why wouldn't you play them? Get them acclimated. You can put them in a limited role right now and then continue to expand, because after the Houston game, you have extended time off for him to get acclimated to his role with this team. Mm-hmm. It's the perfect scenario for him to come into in terms of getting adjusted and acclimated to this team. It's not like they need him to come in and be that stopgap right away. They've got a nice rotation already with Sweat, Brandon Graham, and Hassan Reddick. So he's not coming in here to be the man right away. So I would say if he got 15, 20 plays, maybe more, depending on the situation, that'd be a good fit for him coming in here.
I think this just sets up so nicely with him, even if he's not the same player that he was. It's not all on his back. In Chicago, I know he had Khalil Mack, but I'm saying this year, it was all on his back to try to carry that defensive line. You got a lot of help. And also, there's got to be a part of you. I know nobody likes getting traded and you have to uproot your life and all that, but you got to be rejuvenated, man. You go from wherever Chicago was headed to undefeated.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. And plus, let's face it, you're playing for that big contract or a decent contract after this season. Now, whatever didn't work for you in Chicago, because you didn't have the defensive personnel that you do here in Philadelphia, you should be able to enhance your numbers significantly, even at 32 years of age, to at least get a 1-year deal from somebody that will pay you decent money if they show, okay, in his case, it wasn't just him tailing off at the end of age 32. It was the situation he was in. So now if we get him with the right team, from an agent standpoint, if I can get him with the right team, I can parlay this into some pretty good money for him, even if he only plays a game 1 more year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it makes sense. You bring in guys like that who are motivated. Bradbury's going to be motivated because of the way it went last year.
Kazir White. Oh, my goodness.
Kazir White, yeah, a 1-year deal for Kazir White. So and that's where there's similarities with the 17 team. You knew there were some guys who weren't probably long-term or long for the organization, but you brought them in. They were trying to win a championship, in some cases for the first time. Some cases guys had won it. Chris Long had won one before. But you brought these guys in, and you threw them into the mix with the established players, and it really worked well for them. And I think Howie sees a little similarity there with this.
Well, what you've done, Rob, with these 1-year deals is you've brought in a bunch of hungry dogs.
Yeah.
Now you have a bunch of hungry dogs who want to prove that, okay, I'm worthy of you bringing me in here, number one. Number two, I can look at this as a golden opportunity to make a name for myself again beyond this season, whether it's back in Philadelphia or somewhere else. Because let's face it, they're not going to bring back everybody.
No.
You're gonna have to pick and choose who you want to bring back. I'd be shocked if they're gonna bring back Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave at anything close to the numbers they're paying them now, especially if you identify, hey, we got to find a way to keep Kazir beyond 2022. Bradbury and CJ Gardner Johnson, and now maybe Robert Quinn, depending on what he gives us. Because the Eagles have shown, we went through this stretch harping about how the Eagles would always frown on players once they got to the age of 30, but we're seeing it different now. You got Lane Johnson, you got Jason Kelsey, you got Fletcher Cox, you got all these guys that are hitting that 30 plateau and above now. This is not a young team. They have a nice influx of young players, but this is not a young team, and obviously Howie has identified there's something to be said for having a wealth of veteran presence in terms of what we're trying to do this year.
Yeah, absolutely. No question about that. All right. So we'll come back, Derek. We will talk to a man who played on two different teams with our own Barrett Brooks. Barrett's going to be joining us as well. He'll be jumping back in, but Charlie Batch, who was a quarterback in Detroit to start his career and then finished out in his hometown of Pittsburgh with the Steelers. So we'll not only get the lowdown on Barrett, we'll find out what's going on with the Steelers. I want to get Charlie's take on Jalen Hurts as well. So we'll talk to him about that. And we'll dig into all those kind of things. Todd Callis, Astros play-by-play voice, will be joining us at 2:00. A lot more NFL stuff in store. Our NFC rankings, our NFL bottom feeders. We will do all of that stuff when we return. Don't go anywhere. He's D Gunn. I am Rob Ellis. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Let's talk about Flynn Tree Services. Flynn Tree Services is an experienced, licensed, and insured Pennsylvania tree service company that will trim or remove any unwanted trees off of your property. They offer cost-effective solutions to any tree problems that you may face. So if you have any type of tree issues in your yard or your property, they're just a quick phone call away. They are experts trimming all types of trees and serve southeastern Pennsylvania, South Jersey, and northern Delaware. Flynn Tree Services specializes in tree removal, stump grinding, as well as tree pruning. Keep in mind this time of year, the weather can get real dicey. Now's a great time to have your trees evaluated. Go to their Facebook or Instagram page for more information or a sampling of their work. Give Flynn Tree Services a call at 610-850-2848, 610-850-2848, or online at flynntreeservices.com. That's flynntreeservices.com.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
Welcome to Pond Lee Hockey. We've helped over 100,000 injured and disabled workers obtain benefits, as well as some of the biggest settlements in the state. If you've been injured at work, give Pond Lee Hockey a call.
It's a fall car fest, and Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown, says, yes, you can. Jeff says, yes, you can choose from over 1,000 vehicles in stock with no wait. Yes, you can still get low prices, leases, and big discounts. Yes, you can still get low interest financing. And Jeff always says, yes, you can have a real deal buying experience without the hassle. When the other dealers say, no, you can't, Jeff says, yes, you can. Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown. Nobody treats you better. Jeep Adventure Days.
Philadelphia fans. We're cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one, and we will be heard. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back in Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. I am Rob Ellis along with Derek Gunn. Barrett joins us once again. What's up, B. Brooks? How we doing?
Everything's good, man. Everything good. They assured us that lane is cleared, protocol.
Yep. Good sign.
And then at this point, Quinn is practicing today.
Yes, very good. Very good. All right, joining us, our next guest, he played, oh, man, what a run. What a run. 14 years in the NFL.
Chuck.
Between Detroit and Pittsburgh, and he had to deal with Barrett Brooks as a teammate, which is probably his greatest accomplishment, maybe in life. And Derek, you are muted. But Charlie Badge, Charlie, welcome to the show, man. First of all, great to have you on. And we need the dirt, Charlie. Derek and I need the dirt.
We need the dirt. We
need stories, man. We need stuff that we can use. Okay, material.
Charlie, I have stories as well. I've dealt with this man for too many years, but you know something that we don't know. We need that information.
No, it's all good. I appreciate you all having me on, fellas. It's a pleasure. But I do have one small correction. You said 14 years. It was 15 years. So I don't want to sell myself short on that one extra year.
Yes, that is like 5 times more than the usual life of an NFL player. So you deserve every year of those props, Charlie. My bad on that.
Hey, it's all good, man. It's all the fun. It's all the love. But literally got to the point, man, I've known Barrett a long time. We go back to almost over 20 years now, man. And man, I appreciate his friendship and brotherhood that he's meant for me over the years. I love him and his family. But man, this is a guy, man, he was very competitive, man, when he got up to Detroit. It was funny because all this dude kept talking about was K-State this, K-State that. And I'm like, oh. And remember, I'm a Mid-American guy, right? Conference guy. I was like, man, that's great. I said, when I was at Eastern, we used to beat up on Kent State all the time. And he's like, Kent State? What do you mean Kent State? Man, I'm talking about Kansas State. What are you talking about? So I was like, man, I don't know anybody who ever went to Kansas State. But either way, man, it's all good, man. And of course, he always shared those stories about how talented they were back at K-State, man. But it's all in love, man. I appreciate my boy Barrett.
Hey, Charlie, I have to ask you, as you got to know him, did he backdoor you in terms of getting to your family? Say, I've tried to do my best to shield my family away from him because he's like Eddie Haskell, man. He gets behind clothes, and now he's got my family loves him more than they love me. Did he do that to you? Did he backdoor you like that too?
His brother, you can hang with his brother. His brother's his fishing, but he's my fishing buddy. His brother fishes more than I do. He fishes more than you do.
What?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, they get it, man. My brother loves fishing, man. He's one of those guys that will be out there. It was funny because early on, before it was his girlfriend, before it was his wife, and she used to like come up to me. She'd be like, man, it's kind of hard for me to believe, but he kind of leaves, at 8 o'clock at night and doesn't come back until 5 a.m, but he claims he's fishing. And I said, all I'm going to tell you, if you want this relationship to work, do not get in between him and his fishing. Wow. Because he is a guy that will start and will now go from, Pittsburgh, drive 2 hours to Erie because they weren't hitting like he would like them to hit. And I'm like, dude, you do realize it is in the middle of winter, and he'll go from fishing that way to ice fishing. That's how serious my brother is with fishing.
Yep.
Oh man, he's got to hang out with these two guys, man. That's impressive.
See, I'm from Wisconsin, so I know exactly what you're talking about, man. I grew up fishing. I still, as you can see behind me, I still fish a lot today. And I lived in Pittsburgh for 10 years. I worked for WPXI there for 10 years.
Okay.
And I see you work with my boy Bob Pompiani there now.
Oh yeah, I'm down with Pomp. Hey. I've known him, over 20 years, but now officially in that role, it's been now 10 years working with him, man. He's one of the best in the business. He's been doing it for over 40 years.
Yep.
And, to work with him and the insight that he has, he tees it up for me, man. He makes me look a lot better than probably what I'm worthy of looking good at over the years. So I appreciate Bob. I appreciate his family and everything that he's done for the city of Pittsburgh.
Wow, that's good stuff.
Well, let me tell you about Charlie. Charlie's the quarterback whisperer. a lot of times you see how good Ben Roethlisberger was. A lot of that time it was Charlie from behind the scenes getting them pointed in the right direction, man. So just talk about now, man. What are they doing at the quarterback position today? What's going on with them?
Yeah, and I mean, it's funny because I've worked with Ben 9 of my 11 years in Pittsburgh, and it was funny because we actually on Sunday was doing a podcast together, and we relived some of those stories over the behind the scenes that not many people have become aware of, but now it's starting to surface a little bit now that we're both retired. But what's going on in this quarterback room, man, is just something that really I've shared my concern when the initial move was made from Mitch Trubisky to Kenny Pickett, and people were looking at me like I was crazy, and they're like, "What do you mean? Kenny, he provided a spark in the Jets game." And I'm like, well, you also got to remember that the quarterback position is a delicate position. Mm-hmm. All of those guys have to work together. You don't have anybody that's looking over their shoulder. Any information that's being shared amongst one another all has to be done in good faith. So nobody's looking over their shoulder from that particular perspective. But lo and behold, when the move was made to go to the rookie, what you're telling everybody when you make a quarterback change, that he is the reason why we're not winning. And when you do that, and now all of a sudden you get what they say, they got the big breaks beat off of him in Buffalo. Mike Tomlin we got our heads smashed in. And when you go from that manner and then ultimately now lose, in the manner that they've been doing, it's very tough to take. But now all of a sudden when Mitch Trubisky had to re-enter into the game, he remembers all of those comments that were being made by these other guys to saying, we now have the leader that we've been hoping for in our huddle. And now here I am listening to that, having to enter in a huddle like Mr. Trubisky. It's one of those things that is a delicate situation. People thought that he should have started last week against Miami only because of the concussion protocols. The average has been one game missed. And then they lay an egg essentially down in Miami, and it's just treading lightly at this point. And it doesn't look like it's getting easier as they now approach this Eagles game.
It feels like
I say all of that to say, I love Kenny Pickett. I hope that he does have a great career. I just thought it was a premature move by Mike Tomlin to make it as soon as he did, especially knowing that he made it at halftime without a rookie quarterback ever get those starter reps in anticipation. Now, he just threw him in there. I'm like, there was no plan when that happened. That was a knee-jerk decision. And then we ultimately heard that there was a little bit of rift between Deontay Johnson and Mitchell Trubisky in the locker room, which led to Kenny Pickett being inserted into the lineup.
Go ahead, Beck.
Well, I'm gonna ask, the quarterback position, is up and down right now, but I think it's a lot to do with the offensive line just not being good at anything. We could always hang our hat when we were there on the offensive line. We go out there and we can start punishing people. And push came to shove, we could pass block. They don't pass block well. They don't run block well. What is going on with the recruiting and what's going on with them implementing, real starters into the offensive line?
Well, with your years when you were here as well, man, those backups, man, you watch those backups prepare. You're like, man, I got to get on my stuff because we have people who are capable of taking our job. Right now, that's not there. You don't have 8, 9, 10 offensive linemen that you really can just insert into the lineup. Think about the interest of entering into training camp this year. You had Kevin Dotson and you had Kendrick Green. Those two were battling at the left guard position. Now, Kendrick Green was the starting center, and he started all games last year. So you go from now competing for a starting job at the left guard. You lose that, and all of a sudden you're not even worthy of a hat this year. He has not been active at all in the first 6 games. Wow. That lets you know, okay, something else is brewing. So the development of these younger players are not happening, which ultimately are resulting here. And when you try to improve that running game, something that Art Rooney, Steelers owner, has emphasized over the last few years, and you have not gotten better, especially when you now have a first-round draft pick with Najee Harris in that backfield, and it's not going, so that now eliminates the play-action game. It's almost comical when they go back and do a play-action and all linebackers say, we know you're not running. We're just now going to go back and defend the pass. And it makes it very difficult. So right now they do not have that element in this offense, and we've seen 28 games of Matt Canada at this particular point, and everything has been consistent. So regardless of who your quarterback is, you still have the same play caller. So you're not going to see these glaring results that everybody's hoping for when you have a change of quarterback.
Hey, Charlie, this Steelers organization is very prideful when it comes to defensive prowess. And I look at this particular group of defensive players, and you have the names. You have Hayward, you have Devin Bush, you have Fitzpatrick, Witherspoon. Why has this defense bottomed out the way it has this year?
Yeah, one of the positives on the defensive side of the ball is Miles Jack. This guy's playing lights out. He's leading the team in tackles, and he's showing up every single play, which really has elevated Devin Bush because now he has somebody that he knows that can help line him up. And we hoping that now Devin Bush can kind of flourish in the manner that everybody hoped he would as a first-round pick 4 years ago. The biggest loss for here is TJ Watt. And it's hard to say. You always say, well, one player doesn't make a difference. It does because TJ demands that double team. In turn, someone on the other side is always now going to be one-on-one. And you can see Alex Highsmith, who is benefiting from that. And at one point, he was leading the league in sacks. But now what can everybody else do? Because now you lose TJ Watt. Cam Hayward is commanding the double team. And now you're going to shift those chips to Alex Smith's side versus TJ's side. So they need somebody that's going to evolve in that rush game from the outside, and that's been the challenge that this team has had.
Man, you look at it; they're 1-9 without TJ Watt being on the field. But I mean, when you look at the team as a whole, man, there are so many guys that could be productive. Minka Fitzpatrick, I mean, yeah, the other safety, what's his name?
Edmonds.
Yep, he's good. Look, offensive side of the ball, the three receivers are they'll be starters on any team in the NFL. I just don't understand. Well, I do understand because the trenches aren't taken care of. You know what I mean? Trenches just aren't.
Here's the one thing that I will say, and you all are on the outside versus me on the inside.
Right.
The thing is here, we've been over 27 games that we've had with the Steelers team with Matt Canada, our offensive coordinator. We've seen 4 quarterbacks run his system. Ben Roethlisberger, a Hall of Famer. You have Mason Rudolph, who led a 16-16 tie against Detroit. We had a chance to see him for 5 quarters. They told Mason that you're not even worthy enough to be the starter, but even though they sold it, that he was going to be in a competition. So they signed Mitch Trubisky. If you're thinking, okay, I'm going to be the backup, then you draft first round Kenny Pickett. Okay, fine. There's nothing you could do about it. But in turn, the Steelers drafted a quarterback in the 7th round of this year's draft. So they told him, you're not even one of the 3 quarterbacks deemed worthy to start now for this team. So he's in an awkward situation. But I say all of this to say we've seen Ben, we've seen Mason, Mitch for a few games, and now Kenny Pickett. This team is now averaging in that 27-game span 14 points a game. That is unacceptable when you look at where this offense is at. And when you hear the comments that are coming out of the Steelers locker room today from offensive coordinator Matt Canada, he says, we're close. We just haven't exploded yet. And that's the reaction that Steelers Nation is getting by when he makes that comment to say we're close.
Any chance? No, sorry, Barry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say we had Jerry Dulac on a little bit earlier, and he said that Tomlin is absolutely safe, but is Canada in some trouble in your estimation, Charlie?
Yeah, if it continues to pan out in this manner, yeah, absolutely. If for whatever reason they go and do the same thing they did against Buffalo and go lay an egg, then yeah, there's going to be some concern because the Steelers now enter into a bye week. They'll have 2 weeks before they get ready for the Saints. That's going to be something that those rumblings are going to get louder and louder. So it's important for Matt to figure out a way to score some points and hopefully defeat the Eagles this Sunday. If they don't, you better believe rumblings are going to happen. But my history and being around the Steelers organization, which I've been around now for 20 years, the one thing that I do not see Art Rooney, Steelers owner, doing is firing someone midseason and allowing them to sit home and collect a check. That's not going to happen. So I fully expect Matt Canada to now ride it out the rest of the year, and he's going to say, here's the reason why that we're not getting better, especially when you said your first-round draft pick, Kenny Pickett, will do better at running this offense than a Hall of Famer with Ben Roethlisberger, and yet we're not seeing the results.
Charlie, what is Mike Tomlin's body language been like through all this?
Well, he remained even keel, and he's always trying to remain the same and saying, hey, our goal is to win the division, make the playoffs, and all of those things. But yet everybody else, especially on the outside, is now saying, well, this is rebuilding. Well, I'm not going to say rebuilding until the team acknowledge the fact that this is a rebuilding year. They're selling, and they sold us on the fact coming into here they can compete for the division and possibly compete for the Super Bowl. That's the narrative that you wanted me to believe, and that's the expectations that I'm going to hold you to until you tell me otherwise.
Do you see an interim coach that could probably take over if he did leave? I mean,
think about this, B. Even if you do, let's just say Mike Sullivan, who is the quarterback coach at this point, could be possible accelerated to or promoted to the offensive coordinator. If I'm Mike Sullivan, I'm saying you need to pay me offensive coordinator money. So not only do you have coordinating that you're getting paid for someone to sit at home with Matt Canada, Mike Sullivan is going to want a pay raise. Whoever you now elevate into the quarterback position will go from grad assistant to now full-time quarterback coach. I want a pay raise. So this is a trickle-down effect from the owner perspective. Now, if somebody wants to do it just off the pure love to say, hey, I can now prove my value and I'll work at the same salary, but more roles and responsibilities, kudos to them. But I just know how this pecking order goes. And when you fire somebody and somebody gets elevated, there's always money that needs to be exchanged.
Charlie, what are your thoughts, just to jump over to the team the Steelers are playing, on Jalen Hurts? I'm curious. You know, we've seen the growth, the development this year over the last couple of years, but, you know, we're in the eye of the storm. What's your assessment in looking at it from a distance?
Yeah, I really like what I've seen with him. And this stated back last year when the Steelers came up and played the Eagles during preseason. I'm like, wow, this guy can play. Why are they being so critical of him? Mm-hmm. You know, I really thought he was going through his reads. He got rid of the football and he was deliberate accurate. So I was just baffled at the fact of what the noise that was coming out of it. So it's really hard to give a fair assessment only because the Steelers don't play them and I don't focus on them every single week. It's typically every 4 years, but I had the chance to see him last year, and now I had a chance to see him this year. I love the confidence that he brings to the table. I love the energy that the players are feeding off of him, and they accept him as that leader. And when you have those particular combinations that are happening and he's delivering and producing wins on the field, man, they truly believe in this guy. I'm a big fan of his, man, and I'm rooting for him.
Charlie, when you play, you were viewed as this so-called hybrid quarterback, so to speak. And that was a novelty then, but it's a norm across the league right now. When you look at the Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, where plays are being deliberately designed for quarterbacks to run the ball now more so than ever before. Your thoughts on the way that the quarterback position has evolved compared to when you played?
Man, first of all, the rules have changed. Because when I was playing, I mean, you could hit the quarterback, throw him to the ground, somebody jump and dive on top of him. It didn't matter. There was no roughing the passer. I mean, it had to be something egregious for you to get a penalty on a quarterback hit. So now when you get to this point, the rules now are in favor of the quarterback because they realize it puts defenders in an awkward situation. Yes. Because I'm a run, but yet the moment you get ready to hit me, I start my slide. And then all of a sudden you hit me in the wrong place because I now slide under you. You hit my head. Guess what? That's a personal foul.
Yeah.
That is completely, it's hard for the referees to do that. But as the quarterbacks know that, you're running up to the defender, you're like, man, I don't even know how to hit you. I really don't. Especially now that the defensive linemen are getting penalties just for tackling a quarterback. It used to be throwing your weight on the quarterback. When you look back, I think it was Grady Jackson in Atlanta for against Brady.
Exactly.
What is he supposed to do?
That was ridiculous.
Exactly.
Yeah, ridiculous.
What is he supposed to? So now quarterbacks, to your point, when you're now mobile and you can get out of that pocket, I can get as much yardage as possible because I know you're not going to hit me. And then all of a sudden, if I now dive forward for a first down and the defender doesn't hit me, he's getting yelled at by his coach. I feel very bad about the defenders right now having to defend quarterback.
Hey guys, it's funny now, but it wasn't funny when it happened, man. We're playing in Detroit. We're playing Tampa Bay, and I was blocking this guy, Chidi Ahanatu. Well, at the time, my guard, Tony Simple, got beat. And when he beat him, you know, Charlie expected me to block my man forever. And then he ends up getting sacked by Chidi instead of getting sacked by Sapp, who beat the guard. So he don't look up at me. I'm trying to help him up. First of all, he pulls his hand back from me, looks up and he said, "Hey man, you gonna come to work today?" I was like, wait a minute. It wasn't me. It wasn't my fault. You come to work today? I said, "No, that's Sapp. You want me to block Sapp too?" Yeah. I want you to do that too. Why?
Hey, man,
give me your hand. Come on, man.
I was being selfish, man. You would give me 2 seconds of time. I just wanted 3 when you're blocking the Hall of Famer. That's all I want. I don't feel that's being cruel.
He stayed on me, man.
That's wishful thinking. But hey, man, it's all good, man. I appreciate it. You made me look a lot better more than I had. I made you look better. I promise you that.
All right, I got to ask you this, Charlie, to get away from the X's and O's. I've been waiting to ask you this. When you play with Barrett, did he have an obsession with White Castle burgers the way he does today?
Well, it's hard for me to say that only because I don't eat White Castle. I tried it first time. I tried it the first time when I came from Pittsburgh to Eastern Michigan, and all my roommates, you know, they grew up on that. They're like, "Oh, this is great. We're gonna go get the 10 burgers," and I'm like, "Oh wow, okay." So we go through, and literally, you gotta take that. Well, you're in the car on your way back to the dorm. You still gotta take that quick bite, right? So I took a quick bite. I like,
Thank you.
Y'all can have these.
Thank you. Thank you.
Stop over here somewhere else and get it. It just, that wasn't for me. And I'm not knocking it. It just wasn't for me. Now, my wife, she loves it. She grew up on it. So she wants to stop. So they don't have it in Pittsburgh. But if we're in Ohio somewhere or at least passing through, we have to stop to get it for her. I just choose not to order because that's not my preference.
There you go. See that?
See, Charlie, I've seen this man eat a box of 8 like it was Oreo cookies. I'm telling you.
They're amazing.
And I'm sitting there going like this.
They're amazing.
Yeah. I think Charlie's in agreement with you. Yeah. Oh, man. Well, listen, Charlie, it was great catching up with you, man. Appreciate your information, your knowledge, and keep up the great work on your on the second chapter here. You're doing an awesome job.
Great job, I appreciate that. Thank you for having me. Of course, anytime, man, I love to join the show. I know every 4 years or so we try to get on, but, man, I love to come on as a regular. Please keep me in mind.
Hey, Charlie, before you go, I got to ask you this because I was watching our chat room here. Has anybody ever told you look like John Legend?
Oh, big time.
People say that, but I don't see it. And, there was a time that there was a time that he came to Pittsburgh because he was doing a concert and he came up. I was like, man, people say I look like you. We took a picture. I just didn't see it. But over the years, the more I grew my hair, people were just like, this is crazy. The only reason why I grew it was because of COVID and everybody was sitting in the house. I couldn't go to the barbershop. So that's how I got it elevated. So my wife's she's like, no, keep this, go ahead and grow it. So I say all of that to say, last year, right before the pandemic, 2020, we're right around that time. And of course, news stories are kind of to slow down. Well, I ended up, I have an infatuation with my snowblower because my wife bought me this big snowblower and I can't use it when it's only like 1 or 2 inches. So I look forward to these big snowstorms. Yeah. So I took my camera, literally it's about a 7-second video. And I just in my yard, I'm like, wow, this is awesome. I get a chance to use my snowblower. And then all of a sudden, as I posted it on Twitter, now people are retweeting and they start adding at John Legend. So now, all of a sudden, now John he quote tweets my post and he says, "Man, screaming through my mentions, I thought this was me." So now, goes and it was now. This is my first viral tweet. Right now, it's viewed over 7 million times because he retweeted me.
Oh my goodness!
It now turned into a news story in Pittsburgh as slow news day. John Legend confuses himself as Charlie.
Oh my God!
People are writing a story about this, and it just took a mind of its own. I'll send it to Barrett so you all can look at it.
For sure, yeah, crazy.
We'll get it on, so y'all can see. Yeah, you'll see it. And I'm just like, wow. So of course, at that point, I invited him to the Steelers game. And he's a huge Bengals fan, so I'm trying to get him in here for that Sunday night game that they play in Pittsburgh here, but I'm not sure of his schedule. But at least I sent the invitation out. So, John, you're listening. Look forward to see you in Pittsburgh here soon.
Charlie, we'll have John on the show, too.
I hate to say this, Charlie, but the more people mentioned it in the chat room and the more you tell that story, I'm sitting there going, he does look like John Legend.
Hey, John himself got confused. I mean, what are we going to do? I mean, it's real. Oh, my God.
When I send this to Barry, y'all going to laugh y'all tails off. Or y'all this dude really tweeted out saying he confused himself for Charlie.
That's crazy. Wow.
That's awesome. Charlie, listen, man, it was really fun having you. We will definitely have you on very soon. Thanks for taking a couple of minutes.
Appreciate you, bro.
Hey, I appreciate it, bro. Thanks for having me.
Thanks.
Yeah, man.
You got it. Yeah, Charlie, that's funny. You're right.
That was wild.
When he grew the hair out, because he used to always have the shaved head.
Yep.
He always had it real short, and he grew it out. He does look like John Legend.
I'm looking when you first brought him on. I'm looking at people in the chat room. And hey, man, that's John Legend. I'm like, no, man, ain't no John Legend. But then I'm looking, more people start saying, I'm like,
yeah,
you know what?
Yeah,
they have a point here.
Mm-hmm.
This dude looks like John Legend.
Yep.
Look, Jeremiah.
So I had to ask him before he got off. I had to ask him.
Well, look at Jeremiah Butler.
What?
They're just ordinary people.
You know what I was going to do? I was going to get real cute at the end and say, all of us loves all of you, but it was getting a little weird, so I didn't do that. That's what I was going to say, but I thought
something wrong with you guys, man. How do I work with you guys? I can't work with you guys.
You know why? Because you're just as mentally challenged as we are. That's why you can work with us.
Not more. Yes. Oh my God.
I'd say if I chronicled who needs the most mental help, it would be Barrett 1. I would be close second. And I would say over the last 2 months in particular, Rob is now closing the gap. Rob has closed the gap.
They said, who is this guy that's on the show with you guys now? That's not the same Robert that we had 3 months ago. It's not the same Robert. I said, you're right, man.
No, I'm telling you, I'm usually you want to climb a ladder and ascend in a good way when you're like wackiness is climbing, your mental health, everything's being questioned. Yes. Oh my God.
That's hey, bro,
crazy.
But he
thank you.
Dude, he was a great guy, man. He's always been great, bro. He was the first guy, like nobody, it was a time that nobody really thought about having a Porsche. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Back in the day, he was the first guy I ever seen drive a Porsche, you know what I'm saying, in the NFL that really, drove Porsches. You know what I'm saying? He had a Porsche, man. I was like, you big time when you're an innovator. You're driving Porsches, man. He had a Porsche 911. We had camp in Saginaw, Michigan, at Saginaw State.
Mm-hmm.
And when we have day off, we used to go back to Detroit.
Yeah.
It was like an hour and 30 minutes away. Well, at the time, he had a Porsche, and then a couple other guys had like Ferraris, Lamborghinis. Well, they were racing back to Detroit, and upwards of speeds of like 160. They were going so fast that police cars would turn their lights on, but then they turn them right back off, and then he pull out. That's how fast they were going. Herman Moore had a Lamborghini. What was it? Diablo. Unbelievable.
Jeez.
Just to get an oil change was I think he said it was like $4,800
to get an oil change.
Yes.
What?
Get an oil change.
What?
Yes.
Oh my God.
An oil change was $4,800.
I live in a different world, man.
No, man. No.
Wow.
If I pay more than $70 for the oil change, man, that ruins my whole day.
Yeah,
well, I can't get an oil
with my
change for
car.
$70. I got older cars, so I got to get the.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
The
Yeah, so it's like
high-performance
$95. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
$95.
Yeah.
Wow, that's wild, man. That is pretty crazy. All right. So what we'll do here is,
Something's
guys,
wrong with YouTube, man. I'm telling you, man.
and we know that. We're going to take a timeout. We'll come back. We still have a lot of NFL stuff to get to, which we'll get to in the last segment, or out of Todd. But we'll come back. We have Todd Callis is going to join us, who is the Astros TV play-by-play man. So we'll talk to him when we get back. All right, Barrett Brooks, Derek Gunn, Rob Ellis. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Let's talk about Station Tap. Yes, Station Tap. I will tell you what, if you want to spend the day in a fun way coming up this weekend, and we're talking about on Saturday, it is just an unbelievable event that they're having called the Fall Fest. So what does that entail? What is involved in the Fall Fest? Well, how about Round Tower, one of the best bands in the area? If you like, live bands, local, that just crush, they're amazing. They have a food court. There's going to be a food truck there. They have all kinds of IPAs, just magical stuff. And you can bring the kids because they're going to have a little costume parade, all right, on top of it. So you have all of those things all rolled into one for the Fall Fest at Station Tap, which is on Fern Boulevard in Drexel Hill. So you got to stop on out. It's going to be awesome. Fall Fest this Saturday coming up 12 to 6, October 29th, with Round Tower, Beer Garden, kids costume parade, food vendors, craft vendors, outdoor seating. It's going to be a really nice day. What a perfect fall day for you. A couple days before Halloween. Let mom and dad have a little fun as well. So go to Station Tap Catering and Station Tap on Fern Boulevard in Drexel Hill.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
Welcome to Pond Lehocky. We've helped over 100,000 injured and disabled workers obtain benefits, as well as some of the biggest settlements in the state. If you've been injured at work, give Pond Lehocky a call.
It's a fall car fest, and Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown, says yes, you can. Jeff says yes, you can choose from over 1,000 vehicles in stock with no wait. Yes, you can still get low prices, leases, and big discounts. Yes, you can still get low interest financing. And Jeff always says yes, you can have a real deal buying experience without the hassle. When the other dealers say no, you can't, Jeff says yes, you can. Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown. Nobody treats you better. Jeep Adventure Days.
Philadelphia fans. We're cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one, and we will be heard. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Back on this Thursday. Thanks for hanging out with us. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. He's Barrett Brooks. He's Derek Gunn. I'm Rob Ellis. We'll be joined by Todd Callis in a little bit. You know what, guys? In the meantime, why don't we dig into our NFC rankings, our power rankings for the NFC? We'll do our top 5 of where things are. We did the AFC yesterday. We'll do the NFL tomorrow. But let's do our NFC now. Who wants to? I don't mind if you guys need a little time. I'll jump on it first. Gunner, you muted. Push-ups for you. Hi. There you go. Thank you. That was quality.
All right, I'm good.
All right. You all right? You didn't pull anything? Okay.
Well, I did, but that's another story.
Yeah, you just won't admit it.
I'll go first.
All right, go ahead.
Checking in at number 5, Seattle.
Ooh,
What?
Okay.
Seattle at number 5. Number 4, the Giants. Number 3, Minnesota. Number 2, Dallas. And number 1, your Philadelphia Eagles.
Not crazy. Not crazy. Go 1 through 5 one more time. Eagles,
So
Cowboys.
Eagles, Cowboys, Vikings. And I only say Vikings because of their experience at quarterback compared to the Giants. Vikings, Giants, Seattle.
Wow. I'll tell you what, Gunner, we're close. We're close. I go Eagles, Cowboys, Vikings, Giants. I put the 49ers in there ahead of Seattle, even though Seattle has a better record.
Okay. All
So
right.
we're pretty close there. How about you, Barrett?
I did the same thing as you did. You know, I went if I'm going up, and I don't know why you guys do this. I don't know. You guys always do this, going up instead of going down.
We messed
You
him
build
up.
up. You build up to the best.
We
Right,
messed him up.
Right. But I go 49ers also. I go 49ers.
Okay.
Then I go Vikings. Then I go Giants. Then I go Cowboys. Then I go Giants. Then Eagles.
Giants too.
Yeah, Giants too.
Ooh. I put
Okay.
Dallas at them because Dallas already beat the Giants once. So I had to put Dallas based on Dallas's defensive personnel.
They had 2 losses though.
I understand it, but they beat the Giants, and I believe they beat the Giants again. You know, just based on the fact that their pass rush is a monster. And now that they've added Jonathan Hankton to try to shore up their run defense, that's going to be interesting as well. I threw Seattle in over San Francisco because there's no question San Francisco has the better overall talent, especially on defense. But this Seattle team, I can't say it enough. They're exciting. You got a journeyman backup quarterback who's second in the league in completion percentage over 70% for Geno Smith. I would take that bet every time, 100 times out of 100, if you told me Geno Smith would come close to completing 73% of his passes.
There's a lot of surprises in the NFL. That's the biggest surprise for me. 73, almost 74% of his passes, over 1,700 yards passing, 11 touchdowns, 3 picks, and he's got a 107.7 passer rating. I know he has good receivers, but that's unbelievable considering what we saw from him during his career so far.
Absolutely. And they just now getting back into the run game with this kid Walker from Michigan State.
He's a beast.
He is a beast. So
he's taken right over for Penny and done unbelievable.
I think he might be better than Penny.
Yep. I agree.
He does a lot more.
Yeah.
Defensively, they just leave a lot to be desired, man. They just don't have it defensively. But look at offensively, they're the real deal. And the reason why I put the Giants before the Cowboys, even though they beat them, they got 1 extra loss. And I just can't get past that. Plus, I hate the Cowboys anyways. But then, why do you guys have the Vikings up so high?
I'm sorry, guys. I got to step aside for just a moment. I'll be right back.
Well, I mean, Barrett, the reason I have them, and I'm with you, like I saw the way they played against the Eagles, and they didn't look like a great team. But
Right.
They are a 1-loss team. I got to give them some props, for what they've been able to do. That's pretty impressive. All things considered, they have a first-year coach. I mean, there's there's a lot of reasons, for optimism with them for where they're headed. Yeah, the Eagles got them.
Yes.
What was it, week 2? So that part of it to me, kind of speaks volumes for sure.
I just think defensively, man, they're going to beat up a little bit defensively, man. I really think that just because they just don't have. They have linebackers and they have 2 guys that can rush the passer. But other than that, man, their safeties are good, but I don't like their corners. You know what I mean? Peterson is old, man.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Ultimately, that's going to be the downfall. Well, that's going to be the downfall of them and Seattle come playoff time.
Yep.
You can't stop anybody. That's where the Eagles and Dallas and if the Niners can get their act together are sitting pretty, I think, defensively.
Absolutely. And that's with the Niners. You look at, defensively, they're built very well. They just have too many guys. They have too many guys at this point that aren't doing enough. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Aren't doing enough. Mm-hmm. From an offensive standpoint, they can score with anybody in the league, but it just takes them a longer time to score. They physically beat you up. You know what I'm saying? They just physically beat you up. That's how their team is made up. They're just a physical team that plays great defense. Offensively, they have guys that can run gadget plays. Consistently, they're going to have to run the ball more. But, the quarterback position, I just think they lack a little bit in the quarterback position.
Yeah, no, listen, I hear you. And that's fair. I mean, look, you look at these other teams, and we'll get into the kind of the bottom feeder teams, if you will, in a little bit. But you look at the other teams, just say in the NFC for a minute here, that are, that are in it, I think, for the long haul. The Giants do defend. I still wonder about the offense, but they've done an amazing job, and maybe Dable can keep out coaching that. Cowboys, we know, can get to the quarterback. That much, there's no question about that.
Offensively, they have some players, man.
Oh, they do.
CeeDee Lamb.
They do.
Michael Gallup.
Mm-hmm.
Schultz.
Yeah.
They got players. I mean,
Dallas is very dangerous, as much as Eagles fans hate to hear that. I'm sure they do, but they are dangerous.
Zeke is pretty good too, man. He's still pretty good, although he's hurt right now. He's out.
I think Zeke is motivated by Tony Pollard.
Well, he's out right now.
Yeah, I know. He's got the knee issues. He didn't practice again today. Questionable for the next game. But I do think because of the overuse of Zeke, like as is the case with most running backs in the league, he's lost somewhat of a step. But I do think he feels his job title and his status in Dallas is in jeopardy because of the emergence of Tony Pollard.
Right.
And I think that is rejuvenating him, in some ways.
Mm-hmm. That's been over the last couple of years, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but you know what he's set financially, Barrett? He's got that big check, man,
Yeah.
But, at some point, pride does step in. They are still gladiators. I think football is the most machismo sport there is.
Explain machismo. I don't.
You don't know what machismo is?
No.
Like I'm the man. I'm bigger than thou.
Okay.
It's where you play hurt. You're told from the time you start playing the game, you play the game hurt. If you can walk, you're not injured. You just hurt.
It's an attitude,
it's
then,
a
right?
Mindset. It's an attitude.
Okay, mindset. Okay,
Yeah.
That's good, man. You're right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
And so I think because now Tony Pollard is starting to get as many headlines as Zeke is down in Dallas, he feels his status might be in jeopardy down there. So he's thinking, look, I got the money, but we're in a position to win here. I want to be a part of this. I'm not going out like this. I'm going out in a blaze of glory. So it does, those little nicks and pains that used to hurt you before, you can suck them up a lot better when somebody's challenging your position.
I wonder about the Cowboys ultimately too, though. Mike McCarthy is still running the show there. And if you're in a playoff spot or really critical, regular season game that you need to win, whatever, for seeding, does his, I think, struggles on game day come back to haunt them? I'm still not going to forget about that. I think they're really good, but he's still coaching them. And that to me is a big factor. I think you guys are all convinced everything's okay with him. I'm not.
With Mike McCarthy?
Yes.
Heck no. I've gone on record saying no.
Okay.
No. I stood up and applauded when they fired him in Green Bay. Are you kidding me? I couldn't wait to get him out of there.
Come on, man. He's done a pretty good job this year.
No, his offensive coordinator has done a pretty good job this year. His defensive coordinator has done an excellent job this year.
Yeah,
I'm not giving Mike McCarthy credit for anything. I think he's just a puppet. He's Jerry Jones' puppet until they get a better head coach, i.e. Sean Payton, line one.
You think that's going to happen this year?
Not this year. If they win, if they maintain, if they're pushing the Eagles for the division title, they get in the playoffs. You know, the thing is, since Dak has been there, they've never gotten past the first round of the playoffs.
Right.
Now, if they've somehow, some way have got past the first round of the playoffs, you're not firing Mike McCarthy.
No.
There's no way you're firing Mike McCarthy.
There's no way they should have lost. There's no way they should have lost in the first round of playoffs last year.
No.
To that 49ers team.
But guess why they did? Because of a dumb call by the coaches.
Right.
You have a quarterback run the ball and no more timeouts left. Are you kidding me?
No, the totality of that game, period. I thought the 49ers just put it on them physically. They just made bad decisions. You know, the whole game was just messed up, let alone talking about the end of the game. So you're right, man. It's just a bad it's some bad football being played down at that, and I love it. And I love it, man.
Yeah.
But really, when you look at that team, they're kind of stacked, man. You know what I'm saying?
Who's that?
I mean, would you guys say they still have the best quarterback in the division?
Who?
Oh,
Dallas? No.
He's more proven than Jalen, I guess.
I didn't say proven. I said better, because you could put the proven in there, and you have to go to him. Better right now. Who's the better quarterback?
I don't know if I'm willing to say that.
I don't know about that.
I think I might go Jalen.
Yeah, because my opinions are never slanted towards being a homer and just being objective. I think I might have to go Jalen right now.
Even with your objective, you're.
I would still have to go Jalen right now. But from the sample I've seen of Jalen through 6 games, and Dak, Dak is one of these quarterbacks that doesn't turn the ball over, but Dak can't run the ball the way Jalen does. You know, how many design runs have you seen for a Dak Prescott in his career? 1 or 2 on a quarterback draw here and there, but not the frequency in which, you're not going to see Dak Prescott carrying the ball 17 times, 15 times, 13 times, unless he has no weapons, unless all his weapons are on IR. That's the only way you're going to see Dak Prescott carry the ball that many times.
Yeah, I'm trying to watch the stream and see what the stream says. What do you guys think as far as who's the better quarterback? When I look at Dak and when I look at Hurts, I see a better quarterback in Hurts also. You know, his the way he runs the offense, how he takes command of the offense. I haven't seen Dak take command of the offense in about a year. You know, the middle of last season, he had taken control of the offense, taking control of everything, and he was playing at a high level. But all of a sudden, he just changed things around. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand it.
Well, Dak has had his moment in the sun to prove himself, and he's fallen short. Now, granted, you can't lay all the blame on the quarterback. He's had defensive collapses. I look at the 2 games in a row when they had to play against Green Bay in the playoffs, and Aaron Rodgers took the team down the field and won that game. That's on their defense. That's not on Zach, because he took him down and gave him the lead.
Right.
But unfortunately, when we talk about quarterbacks, well, his record, not the team's record, this quarterback's record in this situation is such and such. Unfortunately, the onus is put on the quarterback.
Yeah.
I need to see Dak win a big game, and that means a playoff game, a big playoff game. We haven't seen that yet.
No, we have not.
He had the weapons. He had the weapons. Look at the weapons he had last year. You had Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup. To get to that point,
not Brown,
and now the kid Noah Brown, but he was there last year also. He
also had the kid Cedric Wilson.
Prime example, and Cedric Wilson is a good receiver.
Yeah,
and they didn't get it, and that offensive line was a good offensive line than they have right now.
Lyle Collins was there. Williams was there.
There you go.
They had their starter. They had Smith. Tyron Smith was still playing.
Frederick was the center.
He
retired. Yeah.
Yep.
So you had everything you need.
Complete squad. Yeah, you're right.
But the biggest difference was, Barrett, that defense was not this defense.
Right.
This defense is like a bunch of piranhas.
They had just let Jalen Smith go.
Yes.
He went to Green Bay actually, and he retired.
They let his butt go real quick. The only deficiency on this current Cowboys defense is stopping the run. They have everything else they need. They just have to find a way, and who knows? Jonathan Hankton might be that plug to help stop that run.
Yeah.
Because they've got four defensive tackles that all exceed 300 pounds.
Right.
And Hankton is like 320, 325, something like that.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
He's a big boy.
Dude.
He's what I call a biscuit eater. He's one of the big biscuit eaters.
Right.
He's a few biscuits shy of 400.
Right.
Let's do our bottom feeders. We generally go positive, but we're going to skew a little bit towards the struggling teams at this point in the NFL. This is overall NFL bottom feeders. Okay, our 5 worst.
See, this is tough, man.
I'll go first. I'll take it first. All right.
Let's see how you gonna do this. Let me ask you before we start.
5 up. I'm going up. 5 up. 5 to 1.
Listen closely,
So
Barrett.
is it 5 worst?
5.
Five
The 5
worst.
worst teams.
Yeah, the 5 worst teams. Bottom.
He's going from number 5 to number 1, Barrett. Okay.
Yes.
Pay
So
attention.
that means
Brooks.
number 1 is the worst.
Yes, number
Correct.
1 is the worst.
All right. Number 5, the Broncos. Historically bad offensively. I don't care if it's Russell Wilson. I know he's trying to play this week, whatever, in London. They have been an embarrassment. The coach is way over his skis. He has no idea what he's doing. They're a mess, okay, a full-blown mess. So I have the Broncos at 5. I have the Saints at 4. The Saints have been a mess. And Derek and I talked about this earlier. Yes, they can turn it around because they're in a division that stinks, but they have underachieved in a massive way. I have them at 4. I have the Steelers, who the Eagles play this week, at number 3. They're another team that has come up small, beyond small. Their offense is totally brutal. Number 2, I have the Texans, the team the Eagles play a week from today. They are just bad across the board. And then number 1, once again, Detroit Lions. Once again, can't stop anybody. All the hype for Hard Knocks, everything, biting kneecaps, this and that. They still stink like they always do, and they're less competitive this year than they were last year. So I go,
wow.
1
Wait,
Lions.
Hold up. Let me write this down. Okay. 1 Lions. Okay.
2 Texans.
2 Texans. Okay.
3 Steelers.
3 Steelers.
4
Okay.
Saints.
4 Saints. All right.
5 Broncos.
5 Broncos. Okay.
Yes. They're my
Interesting.
my bottom feeding squads. So who wants next?
You want to go next, Mr. Brooks, or what? You want me to go?
Yeah, you go ahead and go.
All right. As I told Rob off the top of the show, I think you were off that segment, Barrett. I said, we were given an outline of what's to come. I said my number 5 team might shock you, but when I tell you my reasons why, you might agree with them. And lo and behold, Rob and I have the same number 5 team, the Broncos, of all teams. I think that team is a hard team. When you look at the talent they have on both sides of the football, they bring in a $243 million quarterback, and they're 2-5. They are one of the worst teams in football. Now, I could have put the Raiders in there, but they didn't make my list. At number 4, I have Pittsburgh. Number 3, Carolina. Number 2, Detroit. And number 1, Houston. Now, I debated between Detroit and Houston because, and I gave Detroit number 2 because Detroit can score.
Yes.
Houston, when it comes to scoring, is not just a job, it's an adventure for Houston. And so that's why I put Houston as the number 1 worst team in the NFL. Lovie Smith, I feel bad for you, man. I really do. I know you wanted to get back in the NFL. I understand that. But you might as well have coached in the CFL instead of taking that team down to Houston. I'm just saying. I'm just saying, bro.
Well, our number 5 is a 3-peat. My number 5, the Broncos. I mean, what makes it stink even more? You got the we thought was the premier quarterback that got traded this year, and they've looked worse than everything. I mean, he needs to do more than calisthenics in the aisle of the plane as he's going across the pond. He needs to do more than that. But I mean, he even at the level I've seen him play at, he should be better than win 2 stinking games. So he's got to be number 5. Number 4 is the Raiders, simply because they went out and got the best wide receiver in football.
Yep.
And you still don't know how to use him. You still can't implement him into the offense. He goes games where he doesn't even get a target.
That's weird. He has
crazy.
huge games and then he disappears, Barry. It's
Right.
so weird.
So that's unacceptable. So that's why they're my number 14. Number 3, the Panthers, because they're just having a sale. They're just trying to get rid of everybody. How are you gonna get rid of your number 1 piece and still try to get rid of your number 1 pass rusher?
Right.
Number 2, got to be the Texans, because the Texans just don't. They've already had their fire sale. They've let everybody go. Best receiver go. Best defensive lineman go. They just let everybody go. They let Brandon Brooks go. They just don't know what they want to do. They're not even trying to get better. They're just getting worse. How do you get worse from letting everybody go and you're still getting worse? And then number 1, it has to be the Lions, because you out there biting off kneecaps and getting your kneecaps bitten off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like if you're going to do all of that, you're going to be you and everybody screaming at each other, and Aaron Glenn screaming, and Deuce is going nuts. And this is what you do to start the year?
I told you guys.
Paper tigers, man. They're paper lions.
Yep.
All right, Barry, what was number 5 again?
My number 5 was the Broncos.
Okay. Number 4?
The Raiders.
Raiders. His Raiders.
Yep.
Okay. Number 3?
Panthers.
Okay, Panthers. All right. And I have the 2 and 1. Okay.
Yep.
All right. There's a lot of teams that could have made that list.
Oh, a lot. I mean, but wouldn't you say, I can't believe I have a list after 7 weeks that I have the Broncos, Saints, and Steelers on of the bottom feeders. I mean, what is happening in this world?
I didn't even put the Bears on. The Bears, they need to be on the list too.
I guess, yeah, I know. I think I left them off because they've been like marginally better lately, and maybe it's recency bias because they just beat the Patriots on the
right.
On
You just
Monday
saw
night.
them. You just saw them have a productive game.
Maybe that's what it is. But look, I know Washington has 3 wins. They stink out loud.
Yeah, they do.
You're right, Barrett. The Bears stink. The Panthers stink. I don't know how they're they escaped my list. Go up top. Who else could be on there? Jacksonville, although we thought it was going to be like a feel-good story, they haven't been good at all.
Nope.
So there's like 4 or 5 other teams that are real legitimate candidates for this list.
I think even though they have 3 wins, I think the Colts should be on there.
I think the Colts stink too.
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. But somebody had to be omitted from that list, though. Unfortunately, but
yeah, I mean, look, the Colts either get a jolt out of this quarterback move or this ends them. Reich's kind of pushing all in here, and I don't know. I think Sam Ehlinger plays a gutsy brand of football. I just don't know if he's got the arm.
Bro, this is what I foresee. I foresee Steichen is the new head coach somewhere, and and your boy Reich ends up here as an offensive coordinator.
Comes back.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, he's worked with Sirianni. He works with Sirianni. Yeah.
Damn.
That's his
I
boy.
guess it's possible. Look, if the Eagles had the year we think they're going to have in terms of regular season wins and hopefully into the playoffs, some staff is going to be going bye-bye.
Yes.
I mean, there's no doubt about that.
And I don't think that that Gannon goes because he has too many nice pieces here. Way too many nice
view
pieces.
It that way that it's just that he has so much talent.
Yes, he has talent there. That's not coaching. He just has the talent there.
I think Gannon, like all coordinators, get the itch. They want their own shot. One shining moment. I think if the right head coaching position came along, Gannon would jump at that in a minute. I don't blame him.
Mm-hmm.
Because the pay between a coordinator and a head coach is vastly different.
About a couple mil.
There you go. Most good coordinators are getting like 1.5. The top-notch quarterback, the bottom basement price for a head coach, even a new head coach who's just starting out, is like $3.5 million, 3 to 3.5. So if I'm going to improve my finances by $1.5 million, $2 million, I'm coaching in Bangladesh for that kind of money. I'll tell you that right now.
So why don't you guys think that the Eagles offensive line coach stays?
I think probably by choice. I get the sense, Barrett, he doesn't want those headaches.
There you go.
I think he's taken care of very well for a position coach by the team. And I think he looks at it and he has sort of a Jim Johnson mindset of there's just so much that goes into that. I can just concentrate on my guys and I don't need all the other exterior stuff that those guys go through.
Plus,
how else would you explain it that he's not even an offensive coordinator or something?
Right. You know what? He doesn't have to step at the podium and deal with the media every day to answer the questions. A lot of coaches don't want that. They don't want to deal with the media every day. He has to do it at the most, once a week, if that? Because
he doesn't even do it once a week.
There you go. Let me tell you something. When I covered that team, the only time you saw Jeff Stoutland was maybe once in training camp.
They make him available once in every blue moon.
And they would have during the offseason, whether it was, I believe it was back during the OTAs, they would have a day where all of the coaches would sit at a table in the NovaCare bubble, and we could go from table to table to talk to all the coaches. Now, when Stoutland talks, very enlightening, very insightful individual, but I think that's his ceiling. He goes, you know what? I got to do this 2 or 3 times a year. That's it. I'm done. He doesn't have to do it. A lot of coaches, and you know what, Barrett, let's face it, there are a lot of positions/coordinators who don't make head coaches. And as we've seen, there's a bunch of them that elevate the head coach that should not be head coaching a national football team.
A la Denver.
A la Arizona.
Yeah. Right.
Look at Adam Gase. Adam Gase went from the Miami Dolphins, and as soon as he gets fired from the Dolphins, he not only gets another head coaching job, stays in the division, gets another head coaching job with the Jets, got fired from that job.
Yep.
Now, he might never be another head coach again, but he got 2 shots back to back.
Yeah. Now you're right. It's amazing. How did Cliff Kingsbury get the gig?
There you go.
I'm still wondering that, because his Texas Tech.
Yeah.
He was horrible. He was average there. He was average. He had what was he, like 7-4?
Something like that.
When he was there. I mean, he barely cracked the surface. He wasn't that good. He wasn't winning the Big 12.
Nope.
But who did
Mahomes,
he know?
I mean, some of the talent he had.
Yeah, but who did he know with the Cardinals organization? Because he wasn't that into being an offensive coordinator at USC. He bolted on USC.
Yeah.
To take that job.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, you know, when you look at some of the things that go on. And I think Stoutland is a by choice, not an overlooked guy. And who knows? I mean, maybe at some point, or maybe he feels like if he wins another Super Bowl here as an assistant coach, he's climbed all the mountains, and maybe he tries something else. I don't know. Hard to say.
Stout rides off into the sunset, says, "Hey, I'm done. What do I need to talk to you guys for now? I'm out."
Do you remember when I think it was when Doug left or when Chip left? The talk was he was going back to Alabama.
That was when Doug left.
Was it Doug?
Yep. When Doug left, he was saying he was going back. But you know who ended up being the offensive line coach? My guy. He's actually my left guard. My left guard from college is now the offensive line coach at Alabama. Right now. I can't believe it. You know, Stumpy he said he is that guy now, man. I can't believe it.
Yeah, and maybe we all just sort of jumped to that conclusion, but yeah, interesting. All right, I don't know. We had through nobody's fault on our end. We've had trouble connecting with Todd, unfortunately. So if we get him, we'll plug him in at some point, but it just didn't happen. So we had plenty of stuff to talk about.
You know what? I think I'm gonna go be an offensive line coach somewhere. I'm gonna start off with I'm going to Alabama. I'm going to Alabama.
You going to Alabama?
My boy Wolfie's there. Wolfie will let me come in under him.
Barrett, you can tell that lie to many people, but I know for a fact, as long as I sit here right now, live, breathing, and kicking, you will never be a coach at the collegiate or NFL level. I can tell you
Why
that
would
right
you
now.
say that? Why would you say that?
You have too many hobbies that will interfere with. There's no way in the world. Number one, Sanji's not putting up with it.
That's a lot of time.
You're not moving Sanji. You're not moving Sanji anywhere.
Right.
Okay. Number two, with your phantom fishing trips, according to Captain Tuna, you're not a real fisherman anymore.
I'm going on Saturday for sure.
Number three, with the cars you're fixing, motorhomes, all this stuff, you're not coaching. There's no way. The only thing let me tell you, the only coaching you're going to do is sitting in front of a TV on Sundays, watching games and coaching from a lounge chair, or in the office getting ready for pre and post game shows. That is it. I can guarantee you that. I bet my life savings on that. What do you think about that, Mr. Brooks?
Derek,
yes,
man, that's not nice, man.
Is it truthful? Am I telling the truth?
Yeah, because I don't want to talk to them knuckleheads anyways, man.
There you go. See,
they know everything anyways, bro. They know everything, man.
Can
you imagine me being a coach? I couldn't be a coach because first time one of them say something crazy to me, I'm gonna want to jump on them.
See, you like Seth Jordan, man. You're gonna be punching people out. You're gonna be out of the league before you even get your first paycheck. You're not gonna do that. You're not doing that. You like your lifestyle too much, man.
Yeah, agreed. All right, so we'll come back. We'll talk a little Sixers, guys. Not the start we anticipated.
Appreciate that, Jeremiah Butler. I appreciate that.
What is it?
He believes in my dream.
Jeremiah, it is a far-fetched dream at the very best. Let me tell you, don't let this man fool you. He wants nothing to do with coaching, and for the abundance of reasons I just mentioned.
Agreed.
Right. Well,
Agreed.
hey,
Out
I'm
of
going
those.
fishing on. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I'm going fishing on Saturday for sure. It's already locked and loaded.
There you go.
Oh, and I also got I got a game I got a game on next weekend, so I got to do it. I got a game. I don't know what the game is going to be yet, but I got a game on this weekend coming up.
Keep it rolling, man. Stay busy. All right, we'll get a timeout. We'll come back. We'll do a little birthdays, movies. We'll talk some Sixers and a bunch of other odds and ends going on in the sports world when we return. He's Barrett. He's Derek. I'm Rob. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Let's talk about Razor technology. Yes, data estate. Data is everywhere in business today, but when it's locked away in silos, it can't be efficiently used, and businesses don't have time for the insights that shape decision-making. Razor Technologies data management not only integrates data from wherever it's generated or collected, but provides a uniform structure for storing, interpreting, and distributing it to decision makers. Razor helps businesses transform and model their data, use it to populate real-time dashboards, and create shareable reports that highlight key areas of progress as well as warning signs in need of attention. Smart data analytics and the tools that make data insights easily digestible help businesses of all sizes and types discover where they could be untapping significant savings. Razor Technology can help you break down your silos and fully realize the value of your data to drive growth for your business. To learn more, contact Razor Technology today at 866-797-3282, 866-797-3282, or visit them online at razor-tech.com. That's razor-tech.com.
Welcome to Pond Lehocky, the largest workers' compensation law firm in Pennsylvania. With over 250 years of combined courtroom experience, we've helped over 100,000 injured and disabled workers obtain benefits, as well as some of the biggest settlements in the state. Even better, Pond Lehocky doesn't charge a dime until you win. If you've been injured at work, give Pond Lehocky a call.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
It's a fall car fest, and Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown, says, yes, you can. Jeff says, yes, you can choose from over 1,000 vehicles in stock with no wait. Yes, you can still get low prices, leases, and big discounts. Yes, you can still get low interest financing. And Jeff always says, yes, you can have a real deal buying experience without the hassle. When the other dealers say, no, you can't, Jeff says, yes, you can. Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown. Nobody treats you better. Jeep Adventure Days.
Philadelphia fans were cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one, and we will be heard. Pond Lehocky, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
All right, we're back. Happy Thursday, everybody. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Barrett, Derek, Rob hanging out with you. And we're going to have Max Starks tomorrow, by the way, guys. Former Barrett teammate will be hopping on with us. We'll get his
another one.
His preview. Yes, his preview of the Steelers. And we have Martin Frank.
Derek, you shouldn't be that happy about talking to them, man.
Yes, I am. I'm extremely happy.
We need to stick to the topics at hand. We need to stick to Steelers stuff, man.
It is topic at hand. It's very much the topic at hand. Yes, it's one of our co-hosts and the Steelers. Yes. Yes, it is.
In that order.
Terrible, man.
In that order.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it is. It's very pertinent information.
Oh my God. So if you're just jumping on, Lane Johnson has been cleared from concussion protocol. He is practicing. Robert Quinn, who will wear number 98, will be practicing today too. So good signs on both fronts right there that those guys will be playing this weekend. 1 o'clock start against the Steelers. There's not a ton of 1 o'clocks left, guys, by the way. Have you looked at the Eagles schedule? We got
schedule sucks.
After this Sunday, they go Thursday night at Houston. They go Monday night at home against Washington. Then there's another 1 o'clock against the Colts. Then it's the Packers Sunday night. Then we get a little run there. Tennessee, New York, and Chicago 1 o'clock. Then a 4:25 Christmas Eve. Now we get into flex time. We don't know what that Saints game is going to look like on New Year's Day. That's a 1 o'clock right now, and they haven't even given a time yet to the last game against the Giants. I'm assuming this year keeps going the way it's going. That's going to be a Sunday night game.
For the Giants,
no doubt. Hell yeah.
Oh, don't say that.
That's going to be a late game, bro. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yep.
Oh, my goodness.
100%. Yep, 100%.
Oh, my goodness.
As it should, though. As it should.
Yes, as it should. I agree with you, Barrett, 100%. Look, if you're going to have a flex, if that game's not flexed, there may be another game that means everything for a team, whatever, but it looks like that's going to be a primetime game. Yeah. I did want to touch on some Sixers here, guys. They lose again last night to the Raptors. They're in Toronto playing 2 games. They played last night. They'll play Friday night. They lost a game, and it's really the same old story here with the Sixers. Their transition defense stinks. They look discombobulated offensively. Everything gets bogged down. So right now they're allowing 9.3 points per game in transition, which is the worst in the NBA. They were 27th in that category last year. Last night, in fact, they got outscored 29-17 in fast break points. I'll tell you, even beside that, they're slow on their defensive rotations. Their perimeter defense, in particular against the 3, is non-existent. They look like a team that's totally unprepared, disengaged, lacking focus. None of that looks good for the coach. I will tell you that.
Those are all coachable things that that you could tell has not been put in the center of importance. I would have thought with the guys that we went out there and got that we would be defensively a better team than what we're showing right now. We went out there talking about an attitude, and I don't see the attitude that we're supposed to be displaying right now. We went out and got guys we thought could really be influential in that way, and they're not. I thought Melton was going to come in and be that guy. He hasn't been that way. I mean, there's a lot of guys at this point that what is it that bad that the coach just doesn't know what's going on?
It feels like either he isn't preparing them properly or they're not listening. I don't know. Both are bad. Neither one's good.
Well, I think that not listening is the most damning thing. If they're not receiving his message, then what's the use for him?
Yeah,
this team is too talented, man. We got too many guys that can play to not be in a position that we're at least competing. We didn't even compete last night.
No, I know. Yeah, I'm with you.
I think it goes a step further than that. I think through the first 5 games, what did they play? 5 games? Yeah, 5 games. It's shown that the teams that they have played are one step ahead of them in terms of team quickness. I think we're looking at a geriatric bunch. We're looking at a combination of 2 things.
You're not wrong.
We're looking at a combination of 2 things here, and it keeps resonating what Mark Jackson said. You brought in a new influx of players. They still have not found their identity or their role on this team. So there's a search and seek mode on this team. Number 2, they have concrete boots on their feet right now. A lot of them. Okay. Now I compare it to a team that's very similar in terms of team speed, which is lacking, which is the Milwaukee Bucks. The Milwaukee Bucks are not a fast up and down the court team. They are deliberate for the most part. Now they'll get out in transition occasionally, but they're a deliberate walk it up team, set your offense, run your offense through Giannis type team. Yet they lead the league in points allowed. They don't. Matter of fact, the only team in the league right now, early in the season, that is allowing under 100 points a game. You know why? Continuity and chemistry.
Yep.
That nucleus has been together for a long time. They know each other inside and out. They know what's expected of them. They take pride in playing their defense. You look at them for the last couple of years, from the championship year to the year they got bounced out this past year, up through the first 5 games for Milwaukee this year, or 3 games. They've only played 3. Defensive continuity has been a staple of that team. That's one big reason why they've been so successful. Mm-hmm. Miami's the same way. Miami is not this overly talented team, if you think about it, but they have defensive prowess. They can get up and down the court, you know. They're not a big team. I mean, the center was what, 6'9"?
Yeah, Adebayo's not 7'9".
Yeah. Okay, you look at the Boston team. Now, Boston team is a talented team. They take pride in being one of the best defensive teams in the league.
Yep.
Plus, they can play the transition game, okay, as well. The Sixers don't do any of those things well yet. Okay,
there's no identity.
Guys, there's no identity right now.
They don't defend.
No.
They don't run the floor. They've been good in the half court because of Harden, who's off to a good start this year. But there isn't anything they do particularly well. And, you know, that Toronto team's solid, but they're not special. You know, not by any stretch.
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay. You know.
Yeah. But this team should, until they learn to turn around, just take control of a game and dictate their own tempo. It's going to be a rough thing for this team, because you could be an older team, you could be a slower team if you dictate tempo, if you stop them defensively, if you go out there and make them play your game. But they're not making them play anything. They're trying to keep up with them instead of going out there and dictating tempos for them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You can't let that happen. You got to stop the ball, slow it down,
right,
and play your game. They're not doing that right now. They're allowing teams to do it for them.
In that fourth quarter last night, it got sloppy on both teams' part. And I'm watching the ball roll around the court, and I'm looking at how they're trying to recover the ball, both teams. You know, Toronto's trying to get the ball like it's a fumble in a football game. The Sixers are haphazardly going after the ball.
Look at William Stark. Perfect. Look at William Stark. Look what he says. Sixers look uninspired.
That's a great way to put it.
That's exactly what I saw yesterday.
Dead on.
Uninspired. You're right.
And I don't know that Duck's wrong either.
Mm-hmm.
You know, lost the locker room. Seriously. It's a problem, man.
If you can't get your message across the board and people buy into your message, you think they're going to want to go out there and play for you?
No.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I didn't want to believe that we were at a point where this team was just not going to be able to work with Doc being there. I didn't think we were going to be there, man. I really honestly didn't think that he was going to be good. He might be gone, bro.
Yeah, he might be. Look, here's the thing. Morey didn't hire him. We always know what that means. Like, you're not nearly as safe as you would have been had he been his guy.
Right.
They have spent a boatload of money. They made major moves in the offseason to improve this team, and they look disinterested. Like, that to me, all of those signs point to, and granted, we're only 5 in, but all of these signs point to an early exit. And let me throw one more in there. We have a shining light of an example of an organization that made a coaching change, and it lit a fuse under them that they're still riding right now. Don't think that that's not a piece of this too in the same city.
See, you guys laughed at me the other day when I said Doc at this stage may be gone in January. You guys were like, "What?"
No, I don't. Look, Derek, the question was, would I do it? I would have offed him in the offseason.
Damn.
I would have. He would not have started the season.
That's some Nino Brown stuff right there.
Right. Then he said before he ended the statement yesterday, he said, "I doubt if he makes it past December." You said January. I said December.
I said Thanksgiving last night.
Yeah. So no, but I think I do think he's in danger zone. I do. I truly believe he's in danger zone for sure. Now, I don't know if they just go with the Cassell, like Sam Cassell, sort of like the Phillies did with a guy who's there in place. They try and bring somebody in from the outside, which is rare during the season that you do that.
Or like what Celtics did. The Celtics hired within.
They did. Well, yeah, that was it was a little weird, that whole thing. But I don't know. But here's the other thing: if the Celtics keep playing well, Ime never comes back.
He's not coming back anyway.
I don't think he's coming back anyway.
They've been on vacation.
No. All right. So let's hit a couple other things. So did you see what happened with the Nets last night? So Nash got ejected for the first time in his career. He lost his mind. And Ben continues to be just a mess, frankly. He had another game where there was a circumstance where Kyrie's driving. He hits him in the lane. Ben's right under the basket. And he turns around and kicks it back out like we've seen a million times. So he plays 34 minutes, scored 4 points, 7 shot attempts. He was 2 for 7, 0 for 2 from the line. Did have 9 assists, 5 rebounds, but turned it over 2 times as well. I'm telling you, and the Brooklyn's 1-3. The patience and tolerance for this crap with him is going to wear thin fast, real fast.
Are you kidding me? The 2 big boys are gonna be like, "Yo, shoot the effing ball. Let's go."
Yeah.
Watch.
And Durant's blunt. Durant's a blunt guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Durant won't play.
Rob, while you're reading all those stats on Ben, I said, let me go to ESPN.com. Because the one thing on ESPN.com, you pull up NBA rosters, and at the end, they tell you what the players are making for this year, right?
Right.
Now, according to this, Ben is making this year $35.448 million.
Yep.
35. As a matter of fact, he is the 3rd highest paid player on that team behind Kyrie and Kevin Durant. $35.4 million. And they were excited to have him back for that kind of production.
And all I'm going to say is this. You think he cares about you, me, and he? And
Nope.
What we talking about?
Nope. All he cares about that lifestyle.
Yeah, he's like, let me see. Which mansion am I going to get in Brentwood? What sweet ride am I rolling up in, and what hot chick am I dating? You know what I mean? While these schleps are talking about me. Okay.
Right. But, keep on talking.
And that's fine, right? But ultimately, that's not gonna like Durant and Kyrie have that money too, right?
Right.
And Durant especially wants to win. So Durant is not going to play. I'm telling you, man. That ain't gonna go well.
He don't care. If they
I know he doesn't care. I know he doesn't care. But that means that team's going nowhere. Is what it means.
If they send him on the bench, he gets that money.
I agree.
If they cut him, he gets that money.
Yep.
He don't care.
Nope.
That's a shame. And he's what, 25? What is he? 26?
Yeah.
What's
it?
his
25.
Yeah. Where is he? 26 years old.
Yeah. He's got it all in front of him, man. He
Look
turned
what
26
he's
in July.
Bro, he's made over what, 150 million so far?
Crazy money. He got the max. He got the max of his playing time.
Yeah, the dude literally sat out a whole season to make sure that he was going to be rookie MVP for $5 million.
He's sat 2 full NBA seasons so far in his career.
Did you hear what I said?
He
sat out
to just get rookie of the year. I know.
To get rookie of the year.
And we should have known then.
$5 million. Yeah, we should have known then.
Can you imagine that? You don't have to do your job for 2 years and you're set for life?
Yep.
Who does that?
We're in the wrong business, my friend.
That's some Bear Brooks stuff right there.
That is some Brooksy stuff.
Bruh. If I could make, I nickel and dime the league.
Yes.
I nickel and dime the league and still didn't make half of what that dude making this year.
In a couple games. Yeah.
Right.
I know. All right, let's do some birthdays. Let's get off Ben Simmons. Let's do some birthdays. Teddy Roosevelt, our 6th president, or 26th president.
Okay.
26,
yeah, a great president. He was a great president, legitimately.
Theodore
Teddy Roosevelt. Now, 1858, he was born. The first year Derek covered the Steelers. I mean, what?
No, they were the Steagles back then.
The Steagles, that's right, for the 1 year. John Cleese, Monty Python fame, it turns 83. Lonzo Ball, of the Ball family, still coming back from a knee surgery. He's 25. John Gotti, the famous Teflon Don, the gangster.
Yeah.
Not a dude you would want to cross.
He was the head of the most powerful crime syndicate in America at that time, man.
Yeah. I've watched a million, of the crime shows on him, but he's born in 1940. Scott Weiland, who was the lead singer of Stone Temple Pilots. He was born in 1967. Unfortunately, died at a very young age with some substance abuse issues. Kelly Osbourne, Ozzy's daughter, is 38 years old. Ivan Reitman, who is a great director over the years, unfortunately passed away, I think, last year. He was born on this day in 1946. Simon Le Bon. Who knows who that is? Derek.
Duran Duran, baby.
Oh, Duran Duran lead singer. Was born, he's 64 years old. Lou Williams. Sweet Lou, former Sixer.
Lou.
Yes, he is 36 years. I think, is he in the league?
Yes, with Atlanta.
He's still with Atlanta?
He's still in Atlanta, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, Lou's 36 years old. What else you got, Derek? That's all I got. Birthdays at Woodbury.
Lonzo Ball. How about Marla Maples, second wife of Donald Trump?
That's correct.
And Brady Quinn. Brady Quinn was an 8-year NFL vet. Guess how many games he played in 8 years?
Ooh.
Brady Quinn.
I'm going to say
first round pick of the Cleveland Browns.
30-something.
24 games.
I
8
do
years.
8 games. Now, granted, 1 year he lost because he was weightlifting in the weight room and suffered a herniated disc in his back, cost him the whole season.
Yeah.
The dude played, get this, he had in 8 years, 24 games, 12 touchdowns, 17 interceptions, first round pick of the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
He played with, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He played with 5 different teams, with the Jets and St. Louis's last 2 teams, never played a game for him. He was in Denver for 2 years, 1 year in Denver, never played a game. So 3 out of his 8 years in the NFL never played a game.
Yeah, he got swallowed up by the Colts getting drafted by Cleveland, which is taking a lot of people out. But I hear you.
I'll do one better. A guy that didn't play.
Ooh.
Andrew Bynum turns 34 today.
Wow!
Oh wow!
Oh wow! Oh my goodness!
He's bowling somewhere. Yeah.
Right. And then Philly's own Evan Turner is 33 today.
Okay, a lot of NBA. A lot of NBA mixed in there.
Yeah.
All right, let me give you some movies. We have Rebel Without a Cause, James Dean, from way back when, 1955. Leaving Las Vegas, Nicolas Cage and Elizabeth Shue, which is a good movie, 1995, 40 years later. And there wasn't a ton else that really sparked it for me. I don't know about you, Derek.
What about Romeo and Juliet with Leonardo DiCaprio? That was a remake.
Yeah,
that was an all-star cast, dude. Paul Rudd, John Leguizamo, Paul. Who was it?
Gwyneth Paltrow, or who was the?
Brian Denny. I can't think of who the woman was.
Yeah, that's a good cast.
Yeah, that's a pretty good cast.
Yeah.
One movie I refuse to watch because I don't watch those movies. Jigsaw. It came out in 2017.
Yeah,
I can't watch that mess, man.
Bro, that's too scary for me, man.
Too gory.
Yeah. And then the other one was Saw 3 in 2006. I can't watch
Saw
that.
3.
Yep.
You know, you guys ever see the movie Assassin's Creed? Assassin's Creed?
Yes.
That's a good movie. That came out in 2016.
Check that out. I didn't see that.
Yeah, that's a good
You
one.
never seen Assassin's Creed?
No.
Oh, that's a good movie. You like that?
I will. I'll check that out. Yeah, for sure.
And did you guys see the original movie Drumline with Nick Cannon?
Yes.
Okay, so then Drumline, A New Beat, the sequel came out in 2016 with Nick Cannon also in it.
I didn't see that.
They did a sequel?
Yeah, they did.
Man, we'll sequel anything, won't we, at this point?
Oh my goodness!
Was he still in the drum line at that point? Where was he?
Yeah, that's a good point. What was his role then? Was he a teacher by then? I can't remember. I remember seeing it. I can't remember what his role was.
My man's got to do a lot of movies. He's got a lot of kids to support. So
a lot of kids, still having them too.
Man,
still firing shots, bro.
God bless, man. You know, sometimes you just, you retire that. No need to be taking shots on the goal anymore. You know what I'm saying?
You got to get neutered, bro.
Exactly.
You got to get neutered.
Get the collar around you.
Hey, man. You got to put that cone around here.
Is there anything worse than doing that to a dog? It got pet. It's the worst. They look at you like, are you really going to make me wear this thing? Like,
and it's scratching at it and trying to bite.
It just kills you. I can't even look at them when I'm like,
oh man, that's the worst.
Well, how come you guys didn't say, for birthdays? You guys didn't say Kelly Osbourne, man?
We said her.
We said her. You ain't paying attention again. See?
Yeah.
See, you ain't paying attention, dude.
Hey, by the way, we had a little trouble connecting with Todd Callis. He's going to join us tomorrow at 12:30. So that was good hustle by Xander to get that locked down. Todd Callis, Martin Frank, and Max Starks. We got a killer show tomorrow.
What a great week we've had so far.
Already, man. I'm loving that.
Man, and game 1 of the World Series tomorrow. What a way to finish off the work week.
Game 1 of the World Series, Sixers in Toronto.
We don't care about that. We
that's
give
a good
up.
point.
Yeah,
and
we
then
You said we don't care about that?
Yeah, we don't even care about that.
Sunday,
We don't care about the Sixers anymore, huh?
How about, I love the way the schedule works too, with the Eagles being off or the Phillies being off Sunday. Perfect.
Yes. Perfect.
And then you may have to go back out to Houston if you have to, and then the off day will be Thursday when the Eagles play. And it worked out. It's just great schedule wise.
Major League Baseball didn't want to go up against the NFL.
No,
they didn't want to lose those ratings.
They know the juggernaut. Yeah,
I just got a text from Captain Tony.
What?
He's saying they killed the Stripers today.
What?
Woo-hoo! Can't wait to Saturday, baby.
Tell Tony I expect that FedEx Express package in the mail.
No, you know what he actually said? He said, actually, when you're going home, when you're driving home this Sunday, you go past where he lives at. You can actually he'll meet you up on the highway and you guys can hand it off.
There you go.
Ooh.
All right, we got to run, fellas. We got to run. All right, want to thank Xander Krause. Good hustle out of Xander today. Want to thank all of you in the chat section. We appreciate you, everybody listening, everybody streaming. Thank you. We're back at it same time tomorrow with a star-studded show for sure. Don't go anywhere. Dan Cilio and the National Football Show. For Barrett, for Derek, I'm Rob. Thanks for hanging with us, everybody. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
Welcome to Pond Lee Hockey. We've helped over 100,000 injured and disabled workers obtain benefits, as well as some of the biggest settlements in the state. If you've been injured at work, give Pond Lee Hockey a call.
It's a fall car fest, and Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown, says, yes, you can. Jeff says, yes, you can choose from over 1,000 vehicles in stock with no wait. Yes, you can still get low prices, leases, and big discounts. Yes, you can still get low interest financing. And Jeff always says, yes, you can have a real deal buying experience without the hassle. When the other dealers say, no, you can't, Jeff says, yes, you can. Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown. Nobody treats you better. Jeep Adventure Days.
Philadelphia fans were cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one and we will be heard. Pond Lee Hockey